What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It is I, your host as always, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, streaming live over on our YouTube page, also streaming live over on Facebook, as well as Twitch for you viewers as well today. So thank you very much, guys, for definitely joining us. I apologize about the little hiccup that we wind up having there just a minute ago. I actually had Indy set to go ahead and join us today. Homeboy's actually on a drive, doing a little bit of traveling. He was going to go ahead and join us from live from his car, if you will. But had the stream up ready to go, did our presentation and everything, and then all of a sudden, the stream was just ended. So I have no idea certainly what happened. I do wonder if Indy maybe had to go or he exited out and accidentally ended the live broadcast. I really have no idea, but I had to quickly go ahead and rebound and set up the stream live one more time. So we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. I might end up actually doing this week's episode solo, so I certainly hope you guys don't mind seeing my solo handsome face on screen, as we got 6 topics for you guys that we're going to be breaking down for you today. So we got 6 topics. We also got some quick honorable mentions to go ahead and throw your guys' way, and then of course towards the end of this episode we also have your guys' live viewer questions. If you would like to submit over a live viewer question, you can do so at aplusopinions@gmail.com. Again, that's aplusopinions@gmail.com. You can send your questions over anytime during the week if you'd like to. If you're watching an episode of something, if you're watching a movie, if you read a news article, maybe some theories, rumors, speculations you want to go ahead and further discuss with us, submit your thoughts over to aplusopinions@gmail.com, and we'll definitely get to your questions towards the end of the episode. But feel free, as you'd like to, as we go through some of the topics, some of the articles, to let your thoughts be known also in the live chat. Because remember, guys, these are just simply my A+ opinions. At the end of the day, though, I definitely want to go ahead and know yours, and it definitely helps along when it comes to discussion throughout the episode. So if you guys have any thoughts about some of the stuff we talk about today, let them be known in the live chat or even the comment section box below after this video has streamed and has aired. A quick shout out to Datilla for certainly always coming through, joining us live every weekend. So thank you very much, Tatiana, as always. Appreciate the continued support. And we may have some stragglers that come in and out as the episode continues. So if you do see anybody, definitely make them feel welcome and at home also. Yeah, man, it was a really quick change of plans. I thought I had everybody for the weekend originally at the beginning of the week. Stuart let me know that unfortunately he was working late yesterday, so he wasn't going to be able to make it today. Indy was planning on joining us, but I think the commute and having to have some sort of signal while you're driving for 3 hours, a little bit difficult. So I'm not quite sure we're going to be having Indy. So it really may be just me today. So I hope you guys are certainly more than fine with that. But should certainly be a great day, because we definitely have ourselves and some amazing topics to definitely go ahead and talk with you guys about, not just when it comes to Marvel, but we got some great movies and television news for you guys also. So let's go ahead and kick this day off, guys. I've got my coffee ready, as always, certainly coming through. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your weekend. Sit back, relax, have your cup of Joe or whatever it is that you guys certainly are drinking or eating today, and let's have a good time. First up, guys, let's get into some honorable mentions, some things that maybe didn't necessarily make the cut for our topics, but some information that we thought you guys should certainly know going into the brand new week in case you missed it. First and foremost, because you guys know I'm a big Power Ranger fan, Power Rangers Dino Fury is in fact back. Season 2 exclusively over on Netflix, guys. If you haven't had the opportunity to check out Power Rangers in years, if you thought MMPR, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, was all there was to Power Rangers and you haven't followed up since then, I highly recommend Power Rangers Dino Fury. Great way to go ahead and dive back into this particular superhero team. But it is exclusive to Netflix, and as of this week, I think Thursday, they dropped the first half of the second season of Power Rangers Dino Fury on Netflix for you guys to binge, episodes 1 through 11, and season 1 is up there on Netflix already for you guys as well. So yeah, Power Rangers Dino Fury is back and exclusively on Netflix, so definitely go ahead and check it out. I've had the opportunity to check out the first 2 episodes for the second season. Love it so far. Let's see here. What else do we get? We also got ourselves a brand new poster for Moon Knight. showcasing ourselves another variation of the Moon Knight character. We know that Oscar Isaac's character is definitely going to have multiple personalities, and this is definitely a Moon Knight costume design that, especially after seeing the first costume that we saw in the trailers. I wasn't even quite sure if this costume would even make the cut or even make it into the Marvel series. But the fact alone that they are giving this guy a poster, I got to assume in some way, shape, or form, he pops up in the Moon Knight series looking like this. But again, when it comes to the Moon Knight character, I personally don't know too much outside of just some of the comic books that I have seen him in. But I am really looking forward to learning a ton about Mark Spector and the rest of his multiple personalities as we dive into the Moon Knight series, set to go ahead and drop on Disney Plus March 30th, guys. So this is a big month. Not only do we have the Batman that just released this week, we also got Moon Knight towards the end of the month on March 30th. And then we also have ourselves, if I'm not mistaken, the Halo television series over on Paramount Plus as well to really look forward to. So a ton of content headed our way for March, but I'm really hyped for the Moon Knight series, guys. So definitely check that out. But I love that poster. I thought that poster was incredible, honestly. Speaking of Power Rangers, Datilla says she actually finished the whole season this morning. It feels like the momentum is so great for season 2 that it really allows for people to sit down and just binge this season very, very easily. I mean, I feel like I've heard a lot of people just fly through episodes 1 through 11 when it comes to season 2 of Dino Fury. So that's great to hear that everybody's digesting it so incredibly quickly. It must mean it's pretty good. Let's see here. What other pictures and info do we have to show you guys? Oh, Batgirl is back in the news. That's full swing ahead, honestly, continuing to film. We've already seen great glimpses of Leslie Grace as Batgirl. We've had the opportunity to see Michael Keaton certainly teasing us as his return for playing Batman in that movie also. But one of the other actors that we've heard about, Brendan Fraser, set to go ahead and play the main villain and Firefly for the Batgirl. He's the only person we have had the opportunity of not seeing so far on set in his costume, but that has changed, ladies and gentlemen, as we have our very first look at Firefly. I definitely get Gotham vibes from this particular costume. I remember Firefly being, I think it was a Catwoman villain or over in the Gotham television series that we wind up getting a couple years back, if I'm not mistaken. But I love the costume then in the Gotham series, and I really love this costume here for Batgirl. This definitely just screams somebody at home, some disgruntled former maybe firefighter, right? That just wants to go ahead and put his own costume together and just cause mayhem and carnage and things like that. This feels like a great costume, honestly. Really raw, very amateur-ish, but frightening all at the same time. So I absolutely love the helmet design. I really am a big fan of this costume, and I'm really eager to kind of see how Leslie Grace's Barbara Gordon winds up taking down Firefly as her first main villain for the Batgirl movie. But that is, in fact, Brendan Fraser as Firefly, ladies and gentlemen. I can't wait to see how this movie comes together. I truly can. I don't think this is the first movie after actually I think it is the first movie after Flashpoint. There is something that tells me the Flash movie is in November, and I do believe the Batgirl movie drops in December, if I recall properly from our honorable mentions last week. So I think we're immediately going to see the ramifications of what happens in the Flash. And then, boom, the next month, jumping into Batgirl, really seeing how it's going to be affecting the DCEU, certainly going forward, is just from some of the behind the scenes and set photos we've seen from Batgirl. Changes to the DCEU are definitely happening and will certainly showcase itself in this particular movie. Marcelino Vasquez, what's up, man? Thank you very much for joining us. He says, I wish Firefly looked more tech-based, like the modern iteration of Firefly. I can understand that. I can understand that also. I do wonder if the amateurish level of where maybe Batgirl is, because the costume that she has definitely feels like something that maybe she put together herself. I wonder if they want something maybe on par with what Batgirl is capable of doing at this particular point in her career. But who knows? I have no idea, Marcelino. But I do like the tech-based design for Firefly also. But they definitely decided to go in a different. But that's certainly more than fine. But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe Homeboy's got himself a couple of different costume changes in this particular movie, for all we know. And then, last but not least, for honorable mentions, Spider-Man No Way Home continues to be in the news. I don't know if it's in the box office anymore. It certainly may have left, but they are continuing to push for the upcoming Blu-ray and DVD release of Spider-Man No Way Home. And so this past week, I've been seeing some special feature clips and things like that. I think we posted one over on our Facebook page already that really highlights the returning of some of these Spider-Men, getting the opportunity to see how all three of them got along on set and behind the scenes. Really great little small clip. The special features really do have me fascinated to quickly pick up No Way Home when it drops. But this past week, since you guys have seen No Way Home, you guys will recall towards the very end of the movie, we get ourselves a brand new Spider-Man costume design that's inspired from the very classic Spider-Man costume over the years. And we finally get some closer up shots of what the costume looks like, as some concept art has in fact been released. Official concept art has officially been released from Spider-Man No Way Home by Marvel to really give us a much better glimpse at to that final costume that we see Tom Holland rocking as he winds up leaving his new apartment in Manhattan and swinging around the snow-filled city. But I love it. The blue is nice and shiny. Don't get me wrong, I was always a big fan of the red and black. There was some elements to like the Steve Ditko classic Spider-Man, like just going back and looking at some of the color schemes that they used back in the 60s for the Spider-Man costume. There were moments when that blue definitely looked like it was straight up black. So I always loved the red and black combination that we wind up getting, like say in Far From Home or No Way Home sort of thing. But this just screams classic Spidey, ripped right out of the pages for all those years. And so it's been really cool just in the Spider-Man movies, the trilogy, just to kind of see his costumes change over time, and us really work through all of that to get to this point of the classic Spider-Man costume. So pretty cool, the fact that we're probably going to get ourselves another trilogy with this particular costume. And I'm sure they'll definitely have their fun and creating new costume designs for Spider-Man along the way. And also, really quick side mention to wrap up honorable mentions: Titans season 4 has begun production, which feels like a really quick turnaround, because I feel like we literally just finished season 3 just a couple of months ago. And so for me, it just feels odd to see season 4 already back in front of the cameras when it comes to Titans. I mean, I'm glad for the quick turnaround. We have Brother Blood, the brand new villain for us to definitely enjoy for season 4. But I think the idea of, with everything that's been happening over the past 2 years with the pandemic, we had a lot of our Titan stars who, at the time when the pandemic hit, I think were like all over the world or whatever the case may be, right? So it really resulted in not being able to get everybody together. Travel situations were terrible because of COVID and the pandemic. So it really took them forever to finally get back in front of the camera for season 3. So because of that, because of the way things have been over the past 2 years, the notion of that quick turnaround now to realize, oh shit, season 4 is already filming. It's great. It definitely is great, but it certainly shocked me that it was coming so soon. It probably isn't soon. It probably is the normal sort of turnaround for these shows, but because the pandemic just threw everything off, I was not expecting it to be in front of the cameras so soon. Marcelino again with the insults, bro. No, I'm just kidding. He says, "Hey, Adam, I'm probably not staying for too long if it's only you. I have nothing against you. Just more fun when it's more than one person. I get it. I'm boring. Nobody likes me." But nah, it's cool, Marcelino. I appreciate it. He says, I just started watching Titan season 3, so no spoilers. I'm enjoying it so far. No spoilers here, sir. I hope you enjoyed this season. I definitely did. It definitely have my issues with it, but it definitely is, for me, probably one of my favorite seasons that we've had so far of Titans. But I definitely want to know your thoughts, man, when you're done checking it out. And I think with that, guys, that will do it for all of our honorable mentions for the day. So, with that out of the way, we will be diving into our 6 topics. Let's see what we got here. We got 2 Marvel, 1 Sony, and then 3 TV/movie topics to go ahead and dive into. And so we will start off with our Marvel discussion for you guys today, as that is, in fact, our top story. Coming to you on our thumbnail, the very first big image on our thumbnail is the fact that Defenders from Netflix are in fact moving over to Disney Plus finally. It's been quite some time since we've had any Netflix series. Canceled several years ago with the expectation of Disney going ahead and setting up their own streaming service as well. We knew for a while that Netflix series didn't necessarily connect itself so well to the MCU, or at least when it comes to Marvel Studios, they really did their part in regards to separating them for quite some time. But it's hard to keep a good Netflix series down, especially when you got some great characters like Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, maybe for some people. And then, of course, the Defenders. So the Defenders franchise, while they haven't certainly been doing anything with it on Netflix, it's just been chilling there waiting for people to go ahead and certainly check it out. It is official that the contract for having these shows on Netflix has officially expired, and it seems as though Disney is ready to go ahead and bring its Defenders back into the fold, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and dive into this so we can get some ideas, because it's not just the Defenders, guys. It's not just the Defenders. Marvel is acquiring more of their properties, even including that of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., believe it or not, guys. So everybody's coming back into the fold. So happy days if you guys are big fans of any of these shows. This is from Deadline.com. Let us know that Marvel's Defenders franchise and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from Netflix are definitely moving over to Disney Plus. So let's go ahead and dive into this article. It says all 6 of Marvel's original series for Netflix, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Punisher, and the Defenders limited series, as well as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which has been streaming exclusively on Netflix, will be moving to Disney Plus starting March 16th, guys. So March 16th, that's not this week, but next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, they will all be available across other Disney Plus markets later this year. The arrival of the Defenders franchise, whose series are all rated TVMA, is ushering in a new era of Disney Plus in the US, which launched as a family-friendly destination with all of its programming fitting into the TVY, Y7, G, PG, and even 14 ratings category. To accommodate the introduction of TV programming, of TVMA programming, Disney Plus will be updating its existing parental controls in the US. This already has been implemented internationally, which features adult programming from Hulu, FX, and other Disney entities. There had been speculation that Disney may be broadening the range of content on Disney Plus beyond family entertainment in order to maintain subscriber growth after the big slowdown in new signings for the streamer reported in November. Chatter intensified after it was revealed last month that Netflix's license to the 6 Defenders universe shows was ending, and they would be leaving the platform March 1st. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would stream exclusively on Netflix until yesterday, February 28th. So while the 6 Defenders series, which started as Netflix originals, were developed and produced under a different regime, they are appearing to be pushing the content envelope in some of its Disney Plus outputs. This is what Kevin Feige wind up having to say. He says it's been fun to work with Disney and see the boundary shifting on what we're able to do. Said Feige said recently, describing the title of company's Moon Knight series as loud and brutal. The knee-jerk reaction is, we're going to pull back on this, right? No, we're not pulling back. There's a tonal shift. The rating for Moon Knight has not been revealed yet. The series debuts March 30th, 2 weeks after Disney Plus introduces the new parental controls that include access to TV MA programming. It says, in addition to Disney regaining control of the existing episodes, Feige did indicate that there is a possibility to revive and reboot some of the shows, including Daredevil, whose star Charlie Cox recently made his debut in Spider-Man No Way Home. Having 6 former Netflix series would make a potential expansion of the Defenders universe on the Disney streamer, and integrating it into the larger MCU pretty seamless. That already has been done with this Hawkeye series, which has introduced Kingpin. So this, guys, listen, it does say there are no current plans for MODOK and Hitmonkey, the 2 adult animated series sold to Hulu, to make their relocate to Disney Plus. Look, can I be honest with you? I love this move, guys. I love this move for so many goddamn reasons. Um, the one of the reasons I will say right off the bat, first, look, it's great to have you guys all home. The Defenders franchise, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., come in for a big hug, man. It's so good to have you back. We're just one step closer to the Marvel Studios actually recognizing you guys in big movie projects or upcoming MCU properties. I'm really hoping that that's what that means. But number two, for me, the fact that Disney Plus is taking this plunge into TVMA, allowing for parental controls to now be added to Disney Plus, for me, I think this should, and I'm saying this should, we'll see, this should like squelch and squander sort of any argument or fear that I think people might have in regards to the idea of how far will Marvel push it, right? Like, people have always talked about, oh, I want to see the Punisher again. I want to see Daredevil back. But they're always so worried that when it comes to them returning, that Marvel is just going to PG-13 it, right? Or maybe take it down a couple of notches. This to me speaks volumes in the sense to be like, that's not really the case, right? Like, even though somebody like Kevin Feige comes out and says Moon Knight is going to be brutal, it's going to be loud, while I think we understand what that certainly means, like, wow, they're really not going to be holding any punches back. Like, they're really going to be diving completely into it and embracing just who this character is and the type of tonal shift that it really requires to tell the proper story. The fact that they're going that far, to me, just tells me that they're open to the idea of really including this TVMA aspect when it comes to Disney Plus. I think this is truly going to sort of open the doors. Well, actually, I should say, while I thought Moon Knight was going to open the door for them to tap into that type of content creation, it seems as though this move is really kind of opening the door, that Disney Plus is feeling more comfortable with expanding this content to mature audiences by dropping all these on Disney Plus, then allowing us to have Moon Knight, which, if the article is correct and Moon Knight has not given us any sort of rating, I do wonder if the rolling out of the Defenders franchise and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., bringing in that TVMA content, will now give them the green light to announce that maybe something like a Moon Knight might be TVMA also. That's just me kind of holding my breath and keeping my fingers crossed, that I'm really hoping for. But this just tells me that Disney and Feige are really not afraid to bring a lot of those darker characters that I think we want to see, Blade, the Punisher, Daredevil, and not necessarily bring us a watered down version of it. Now, granted, look, I'm sure there probably will be some watering down. I mean, who knows if we'll see like blood splatters or not, right? I think same thing when it comes to like the Punisher. Maybe he's still mowing people down with guns, but we just don't see the blood splatters from each bullet hole that hits, sort of thing, right? I do think that there are certain ways, if they wanted to navigate around a TVMA. I think they probably could for some of these particular characters, but this doesn't feel like that's the intention when it comes to Marvel whatsoever. So for this truly does give me hope that characters, once again, like Daredevil, if we get him in another series, maybe the return of the Punisher, maybe giving us somebody like a Moon Knight, opening up the doors for Blade, or even the Werewolf by Night Halloween special that we might have, to really allow Marvel to take off those creative handcuffs and really dive into the mature factor for some of these characters. I think this is a really great move by them, as still allowing them to clearly be family friendly. I don't think that that means their entirety of the MCU line is now going to be switching more to TVMA. I really do think it'll still be as family friendly as it gets. But those sort of Marvel Knights characters, those really dark and gritty characters that are rather shady, or maybe are some anti-hero sort of elements, that I definitely do think maybe might come sparingly to us. But it definitely, this information and news at least makes me think that Marvel is confident in the idea and comfortable in the idea of at least allowing TVMA property and content on their channel. So that definitely gives me hope in regards to what the future can certainly hold. So I'm looking forward to this, man. I think this is a great win when it comes to Disney Plus. If anything, maybe them coming to Disney Plus will, have me want to go back and check out some of these series once again. I didn't finish everything. Definitely been caught up fully to Daredevil. Definitely love the Defenders myself personally. Caught up with the Punisher. I think for me, Jessica Jones, I only watched season 1. Luke Cage, I don't think I even finished season 1, honestly. And Iron Fist, I tried to do some of season 1, and I just hard pill to swallow. But I would love to see some of these characters back. I really do hope that they get the opportunity to. I know, like, the actress that plays Jessica Jones is very much open to reprising her role. I think everybody's seen Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio certainly coming back, or maybe being very hopeful that they get the opportunity to reprise their roles. The only person I really don't care to kind of see come back is, in fact, Iron Fist. I'm sorry to say, like, as much as I would love to see a returning Iron Fist, maybe not even for a season 3, but I think we've talked about it here on APlus Hero Report. The idea of like a Heroes for Hire sort of series, I think would be really great, because not only can you bring back all these characters, but one, I think it kind of combines a lot of this content together in one, right? You can have Luke Cage in the show, same with Jessica Jones. If you want to have Danny Rand there as Iron Fist, you certainly can. But that's like 3 series just all balled up into one. I personally would really love a Heroes for Hire, and you can utilize that show to go ahead and introduce us to Colleen once again, right? Go ahead and get Jessica from the Iron Fist season back. She's been really wanting to reprise her role as Colleen also. Hell, maybe you can introduce us to a new Iron Fist from the Marvel comic books into a Heroes for Hire sort of storyline, or whatever the case may be. So a lot of great potential for the return of all these characters, and the idea of Marvel bringing them back into the fold, always certainly great to see everybody brought back into the family. And I'm really hoping that when it comes to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., this is a move in the right direction for the MCU to really start recognizing some of these characters and past storylines. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, maybe this is your time. Maybe this is your time. I'm going to be really rooting for you guys. I hope it certainly works out. Let's see here. Datilla says, do you think Disney will censor some of the shows? I know Punisher might not be family friendly. It doesn't sound like they're going to be censoring anything, more so than at least having parental controls on them. I mean, I don't know what that means, in the sense of, like, in order to access it, you have to get like parents' permission, or maybe there's an extra screen you have to go through before you even have the opportunity to play this particular episode, right? Like, or maybe as a parent, do you get the opportunity to censor certain things, and then you only get like edited versions of those episodes? Or are there like blurring out of things? Like, is there an edited, like a censored and an uncensored episode? I really don't know how it's going to look when we see it, but it doesn't feel like there's censorship if there's going to be a parental guide on it, right? Something that you can go ahead and access to watch the episode as is, but we'll see how they decide to go ahead and do it. You also say Daredevil season one was the best. I loved season one. Season two, I didn't mind so much. The introduction to Elektra, I was a really big fan of, and season three actually was pretty fantastic too. I was really a big fan. Marcelino Vasquez says Disney Plus said it would only go up to PG-13, so I don't know what Disney Plus will do. I mean, people can change their minds, right? I mean, this is clearly Disney Plus, who has an understanding that yes, it is family friendly and maybe had the intention of only being PG-13, but times are definitely changing. They clearly have the mentality now of the idea of broadening their audience, and at least allowing for TVMA with the assistance of parental guidance. So I think that really goes a long way in showing that that Disney is definitely changing their course. What's up, sexy? Good to see you in here, AJ. Thank you very much, man, for certainly joining us. But let me know what you guys think in regards to this particular article here. The Defenders franchise, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., moving from Netflix over to Disney, bringing everybody back into the fold. But I think the really big topic here is the fact of Disney Plus allowing TVMA shows to really come back. And when we've got characters like Moon Knight, that Kevin Feige has mentioned is going to be loud, is going to be really brutal. It feels like it fits that TVMA. So we could be going into a whole new world of Marvel and Disney Plus in regards to the content that they certainly have in store. But let me know your thoughts, guys. Are you thrilled to see the Defenders return to, or I should say, come to Disney Plus for the first time along with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Do you think that this means that Disney and Marvel will not have any issues when it comes to diving into TVMA? Definitely go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. Sorry, guys, I had to go ahead and take a good old big swig of some coffee, get this energy bumping. Let's go ahead and dive into our next topic. We got another Marvel show that we're going to be talking about here in regards to Disney Plus. Since they're kind of all connected, we might as well go ahead and dive into it. One of the upcoming Disney Plus series that we have to look forward to is, in fact, She-Hulk. I've been really fascinated by this series for quite some time. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the idea and the concept of what this particular show is going to be. We've had a great run with the Bruce Banner character played by Mark Ruffalo and so many others over the years. And his growth in regards to the Hulk has been rather substantial from when we first saw him, from the very first Hulk movie to the Incredible Hulk to the Avenger films, going from Savage Hulk all the way up to Professor Hulk himself. He's definitely had his fair share of iterations. And one of my big questions I have going forward is how much more do they certainly plan on using Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk? Will he slowly kind of subside and be pushed to the side? And is the idea of a She-Hulk series a way to really go ahead and propel She-Hulk kind of into that forefront as one of our biggest and next Avengers to certainly come? And so I'm really eager to kind of see what this She-Hulk series is definitely going to bring to us. But this past week, as we continue to get prepared for our first look, I think we've been teased by the She-Hulk series a little bit. There's still plenty that they have not shown us that I'm really looking forward to. So this past week, Mark Ruffalo was in the news as he's had the opportunity to praise the brand new She-Hulk star and Tatiana Maslany, as it seems as though Mark Ruffalo is ready to go ahead and pass the baton on to his upcoming cousin in the She-Hulk series. So let's go ahead and dive into this, man. I'm really excited to kind of see what Mark Ruffalo is talking about when it comes to Tatiana Maslany, a fantastic actress, by the way. If you haven't seen some of her work, please go ahead and do some homework and certainly check up on her. But let's go ahead and dive into this article. This is from comingsoon.net. Says that the She-Hulk Mark Ruffalo talks passing the banner, not even passing the baton, but passing the banner to Tatiana Maslany. This says Emmy winner Mark Ruffalo has finally opened up about the Marvel Studios' next Disney Plus series She-Hulk, praising lead star Tatiana Maslany's portrayal of the Jade Giant. The MCU vet also went on to tease the funny and cool interactions between Bruce and Jennifer Walters, confirming that fans will be seeing a different side to the Avenger. He says Tatiana Maslany is freaking legendary as She-Hulk, is what Mark Ruffalo told Access Hollywood. He says, I'm passing the banner onto her. There are some really good, funny, cool, long scenes between Professor and her. We've never really seen the Hulk interact with people the way that he does in that show. It'll be very interesting, is what he says. So he's this says described as a 10-episode legal comedy. The She-Hulk series will be led by Emmy and Golden Globe winner Tatiana Maslany, who will take on the main role as Jennifer Walters. She will be joined by Avengers Endgame stars Mark Ruffalo and Tim Roth as they reprise their respective roles as Bruce Banner, the Hulk, and the Abomination, who's going to be in that series as well. It does say that She-Hulk helps from the head writer Jessica Gao, who is the Emmy-winning scribe behind Rick and Morty's season 3 episode Pickle Rick. So she's going to be the main head writer for this series. You know, one of the things I will say about this, I think what does have me scratching my head is truly trying to figure out what the concept of a 10-episode legal comedy truly means. Like, I think I have my guesses, but I am still rather hesitant. Like, I still want to kind of see what it looks like firsthand in regards to, like, is it going to be sitcom-y? Is it still going to have sort of that drama flair to it, but a lot more lighthearted banter and laughs and things like that in between? Or is this going to be something along the lines of like a Friends or a Parks and Rec or Office, or with just with law and comedy? Like, I'm really curious as to see what this is going to be. And it is fascinating too to kind of hear Mark Ruffalo talk about the idea of how we're going to get the opportunity to see the Hulk in a new, interesting light. And, I do scratch my head a little bit simply because of the fact that when it comes to the Hulk, it seems as though the MCU has been very free to kind of change his personality over time. I really do feel like ever since we saw Hulk over in Thor Ragnarok and got to see a little bit more of that humor side that Mark Ruffalo brings as Bruce Banner, it feels as though the MCU is really diving into that aspect a lot more. So really trying to bring out the comedy chops of the Hulk, which seems weird to even say, honestly, but it feels like Thor Ragnarok put him down that path. When he started giving him a personality, we started seeing that grow even a little bit more in Professor Hulk when it comes to Avengers Endgame and such, right? That witty banter, the one-liners, the great funny dialogue sort of thing as he starts cracking jokes and stuff. And now we're putting him involved in sort of like a legal comedy. There is some elements that definitely feels like they've castrated poor Hulk at this point. Like, there's a part of me that really misses Hulk smash, just wants to demolish stuff. I mean, the fact that when we get to see Avengers Endgame, that Bruce Banner as Professor Hulk feels like it's almost beneath him to really let loose his anger, and he's just throwing cars and a motorcycle. Hulk smash. Like, there's a part of me that really wants to see that Hulk back, Hulk smash back. But he's evolved so much as a character since Thor Ragnarok that it really does feel like if there is anybody that's going to be doing any smashing and crushing, it's probably going to be Jennifer Walters, certainly going forward. But there definitely seems to be a lot of comedy elements included, which I'm open to, but it just feels like the whole character has that character has really sort of sail has shipped. I don't know if we're ever going to go back to that classic Hulk, and this is probably what we can really expect kind of going forward. So if you are somebody that really wants to see that Hulk again, we're probably out of luck. But how much more can they really get out of the character at this point in time? So while I am fascinated to see how the MCU and Disney are going to push the Hulk character one more time down this comedy path in this series. I am also interested to kind of see how Mark Ruffalo does pass the baton on to somebody like a Tatiana Maslany, who is very much a fresher character when it comes to the MCU, and certainly has a lot more growth and even introduction just for her character to certainly have to do. So I hope She-Hulk certainly proves her worth and shows to be a rather formidable foe against anybody that she certainly has to face going forward. But I am going to be curious to see just what this series is going to turn out to be. I mean, we have the Abomination coming back. If the Abomination is cracking jokes in this, I don't know exactly how I'm going to feel, but I'm definitely going to give this show a shot. I think if anything, this feels like one of those series that I'm really uncertain about because of the fact that it's got some characters that I wouldn't necessarily associate as a legal comedy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to be able to see what their personalities are going to be like with this type of writing and storyline has me fascinated and really intrigued. So I'm going to give this series a shot for sure. But I love what Mark Ruffalo was saying. I think Tatiana Maslany is an incredible performer. I'm ready at this point to see her as Jennifer Walters. I mean, the tease, the cool little legal ad and commercial that they put together for the She-Hulk teaser, that's cool and all, but I'm ready to see Jennifer Walters She-Hulk. I really want to see more of Tatiana Maslany and really what the tone and vibe of this series is going to be. So hopefully once we get, say, maybe Moon Knight released to us come March, I'm kind of wondering if She-Hulk is going to be next in regards to the release order. So hopefully after this interview here with Mark Ruffalo, maybe we'll start getting some reveals in regards to what She-Hulk is definitely going to look like. But let me know your thoughts, guys. You hear this article here from Mark Ruffalo praising Tatiana Maslany, talking about some really great scenes between her. Like, for me, I guess I want to see what their relationship is like. Have they kept in contact all these years? How close is Jennifer Walters truly to Bruce Banner? Does she fully know what he's been up to as the Hulk, or does he have no idea? I think in the comic books, I think Jennifer Walters gets into like some sort of accident or car crash, and it's her cousin Bruce Banner that's got to come in and do like a blood transfusion, I believe. And I think the transfusion is what gives Jennifer Walters her abilities. I could be wrong, but I believe that's her origin story in that regard. So I would be fascinated to kind of see how that winds up taking place in this series. But again, legal comedy, for it makes sense with Jennifer Walters being a lawyer. But in regards to like Hulk action and stuff, I am fascinated to kind of see how this is really going to all come together. Who knows? Maybe it could be the surprise series of the year. But I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts in regards to your levels of anticipation for the She-Hulk series, and also your thoughts in regards to Mark Ruffalo's words about what we can expect, not only from the series, but relationship with Tatiana Maslany going forward. So definitely go ahead and let me know your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. And with that, I think if anything, we will move on to our next topic. Although, let me go ahead and jump into the live chat and see if what some of you guys are saying. Sexy does say, is the Discord group still active? Nothing shows up on my end, only in the introduction tab. No, it's still active. We definitely have been using it over the past few days, AJ. Am I hosting by myself? Yes, I am hosting by myself. Some people don't like that idea. I'm sorry, guys. Sexy says, may I say kudos for remembering your Ethernet cable. Yeah, I almost forgot. I was getting ready to go ahead and go live with Indy earlier, and I realized my Ethernet cable was out, so I had to go ahead and plug it back in real quick. Marcelino says, I hear people say that the Hulk has been castrated so much that he's been that he's even been castrated in the comics, and that Hulk's comics has bad writing because of Jason Aaron. Your thoughts? Listen, I love Jason Aaron as a writer. I truly do. I've seen him on, I think the last series I was reading from him was Thor, and I absolutely loved his take on Thor. I believe he also wrote some Avengers, recently the Avengers 2. I haven't read most of his Avengers line, but some of the stuff that I have read from Jason Aaron, I'm a really big fan of. I have not been a big Hulk's comic fan for years, honestly. So I haven't really kept up with him in the comic books. But I'm surprised to kind of hear that, especially coming from somebody like a Jason Aaron. But again, I don't have any firsthand experience with reading the series, so I can't really give my opinion on if it's good or not. But it wouldn't surprise me in regards to the idea of them castrating um the Hulk once again. Sexy asks, "What's castrated mean?" It means to remove the testicles of a male. What it means is chop somebody's balls off. So yeah, it's they've taken Homeboy's manhood away from him as the Hulk becomes more professor in comedy than Hulk smash. So that's just a little joke that people certainly talk about a little bit. But I'm curious to know what you guys think in regards. Do you like the evolution of the Hulk? And trust me, just because of the fact that I say the idea of Hulk being castrated, and while I miss Hulk smash, trust me when I say Professor Hulk scenes in Avengers Endgame are golden. They do make me laugh, so I definitely did appreciate it. All right, guys, with that out of the way, we will go ahead and move on to our next topic a little bit as we make that transition from Marvel into the murky worlds of the Sony universe of Marvel characters as we go ahead and transition into there. As look, guys, I feel like over the past couple of weeks, we've continued to have more and more news coming out of the development for the Kraven the Hunter movie itself. I want to say we've announced Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven, Russell Crowe being cast in this movie as Kraven's father. We also recently announced last week the Chameleon being cast in the upcoming Kraven the Hunter, which is Kraven's brother also. And now it seems very much like we've gotten into the love life of Kraven the Hunter also, as we recently wind up getting news this week that Kraven the Hunter has officially cast his love interest, or at least in the comic books, Calypso. Let's go ahead and dive into this article, guys. This is coming to us from deadline.com. The pieces are truly coming together when it comes to Kraven the Hunter, guys. It says Oscar nominee Ariana DeBose set to play Calypso in Sony's Marvel picture. Congratulations to Ariana here. It says exclusive, fresh off her historic win at the SAG Awards on Sunday night. Ariana DeBose has her sights set on her next major project. The Oscar-nominated West Side Story star. I didn't even know she was in West Side Story. That is one of my next movies to certainly watch that I have on my watch list because I feel like a lot of these stars from West Side Story have acquired a lot of great roles coming out of this. But it does say the Oscar-nominated West Side Story star is set to join Sony Pictures' Marvel movie Kraven the Hunter, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson in the title role. Although it's unconfirmed, sources say that DeBose will be playing Calypso in the movie. Again, J.C. Chandor is directing the pick with Avi Arad and Matt Tolmach producing. It says that Kraven is among Marvel's most iconic and notorious anti-heroes. The film will be released theatrically January 13th of next year. For those of you who don't know or not too familiar with Calypso, it says, as for Calypso, she is a voodoo priestess who utilizes magic potions. And besides being an adversary of Spider-Man, she is also the occasional partner and lover of Kraven. So definitely looks like we're going to be getting ourselves a little bit of a love fest here between Kraven and Calypso, a voodoo priestess. So I am interested to kind of see how she's going to, what sort of role she's definitely going to play. Like I wonder if this is a case of her knowing Kraven maybe before he even becomes the hunter that he certainly is. I really want to know how far back their relationship or ties that they certainly have with each other truly go. But it's really cool to kind of see Kraven the Hunter finally coming together. We haven't seen ourselves a trailer as of yet. I gotta think that this movie is in the process of filming, or at least getting to that particular point of getting ready to film maybe sometime this summer. I mean, look, the movie is set to go ahead and drop January 2023. That's less than a year away. So there's a part of me that has to think that this movie's already been filming, because I don't know how long post production or anything like that is certainly going to take when it comes to Kraven the Hunter. That's something I'll have to go ahead and do some research on to see when it plans on being in front of the cameras, or maybe it certainly already is. But I am fascinated with Ariana DeBose. The fact that we get to see her here, not only just um off her SAG awards. I am kind of curious what her SAG award win was from. I am kind of curious, like, is that from West Side Story? Because it seems as though she's been nominated for an Oscar also. So she's definitely getting a lot of buzz and a lot of great recognition. So, well, again, while I'm not familiar with Ariana DeBose, the fact that she is getting this recognition just says wonders about her in regards to what her talent truly is. So yeah, West Side Story is definitely a movie that's on my to watch list. I'm a sucker for great musicals, and the idea that we get to see Steven Spielberg sort of remake a classic, I think is always a win. I think it is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes also, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm definitely going to have to dive into Ariana DeBose's career to kind of see really what she's going to go ahead and bring to Kraven the Hunter. So I'm really loving this cast, man. I'm really loving the effort that they're definitely putting towards it, and it seems to be coming together relatively well. I still don't know how I feel about Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven. I've seen some like Boss Logic or like fan art designs of seeing Aaron Taylor Johnson designed as Kraven. Physically, he could definitely pull off the role. I'm just not one of those believers in regards to Aaron Taylor Johnson's acting so much. Like, I loved him in Kick Ass. He was okay in Godzilla, but I've never really seen anything from him yet. And maybe that's just because of the fact that I haven't gone down his movie catalog yet. But Aaron just hasn't come across as a super, super powerful actor to me. But then again, I don't necessarily know if you need to as Kraven the Hunter, right? I think if you can put, granted, also his accent as Quicksilver wasn't necessarily the greatest either. So I would be interested to kind of see how he tackles this role as Kraven the Hunter. And I am curious if maybe the talent that he's being surrounded by with somebody like an Oscar nominated Ariana here, or even an Oscar winner himself. I think Russell Crowe's an Oscar winner for A Beautiful Mind, surrounding him with much better talent. Hopefully that, if anything, will raise the level of this particular film and some of the performances that we wind up getting in here. So I'm really loving all the surrounding pieces that are being added to this Kraven movie. And to me, it just continues to show that, yeah, this movie is definitely coming to us sooner rather than later. So Sony's not slowing down when it comes to their Sony universe of Marvel characters here, as we've got ourselves Morbius set to go ahead and drop, I think, beginning of April. And then hopefully Kraven the Hunter around the corner as well. So we've got a lot of stuff that's in development when it comes to Sony. But let me know your guys' level of anticipation when it comes to Kraven the Hunter. Have you checked out Ariana DeBose and some of her work? And what do you think of her inclusion in here as Calypso? It does make me kind of curious if Kraven is the anti-hero here, who's the villain of this particular movie that he's going to be facing off against. Is Calypso that villain, or will they have a much closer relationship? That is definitely something I'm going to be looking forward to. But guys, let me go ahead and know your thoughts in regards to that news article in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. All right. And with that out of the way, we've got three more topics that we're going to be breaking down for you guys today as we transition from our Marvel and Sony talk and really start diving into more movies and TV discussion here. And speaking of television, we mentioned this at the top as we were eagerly anticipating the Moon Knight Disney Plus series. One of the other series that we have to look forward to this March is, in fact, the Halo television series. Now, when it comes to the Halo television series, one of the reasons that I'm so excited for it is because of the fact that I know its personal journey of how long it's taken for this series to actually just be taken off the ground level. I feel like this Halo television series has had so many obstacles over the years since it was first originally announced, whether that be producers leaving, creative decisions and creative minds maybe not necessarily getting along and deciding to want to head and part ways, or going a completely different trajectory when it comes to this Halo television series, some legal battles and things like that. It's been all over the place. So the fact that the Halo television series is actually here, has been filmed, has been developed, and we're getting the opportunity to see it, has me excited for this beyond my wildest imaginations, honestly. And while I personally have fallen off as a video gamer over the past couple of years, while I definitely have played my fair share of Halo games for sure, it's been quite some time since I've had the time to really fall back in love with that world again. And so there is a level of anticipation when it comes to the Halo TV series that I'm really looking forward to. Everything that I've seen so far in regards to teaser trailers have looked great. It looks like it's truly going to focus on a great story. While it looks visually stunning, there is always that worry of where's the focus going to be in the action and special effects or the characters. And it feels very much like, just from the trailers, this series is taking itself seriously enough to be able to have a really fantastic balance between all of those. So while I personally am already hyped for this series, I didn't know my anticipation level for it could grow any further until I read a recent article here this week to let us know that one of the producers on Halo's television series is that of the legendary Steven Spielberg. And not only that, but we come to find out that he's actually been more hands-on with this TV series than I think any of us even expected or even knew of. I'm pretty sure there's probably some people out there that didn't even know Steven Spielberg was connected to this Halo television series. So let's go ahead and dive in to this article here. I believe this is from Total Film Magazine, but it's through their website, Games Radar, that had the opportunity to talk a little bit about the Halo series, as one of the producers reveals that Steven Spielberg was a lot more hands-on with this Halo TV series than I think a lot of people certainly thought. So if you're a big fan of Steven Spielberg and just his legendary work over the years, this might give you some faith in this series, guys. Let's go ahead and dive into this. This says Steven Spielberg has had a long and storied history with shepherding the Halo franchise to television. As far back as 2013, the legendary director was attached to produce an adaptation of the video game series. Now the Halo TV show is just around the corner, with Spielberg's Amblin television company helping to bring the series to Paramount Plus. But far from taking a hands-off approach, Halo executive producer Daryl Frank has revealed to Total Film ahead of the new issue that Spielberg's influence is far reaching. This is what they had to say. Daryl Frank has to say in regards to Spielberg's involvement. He says, "We treated it," talking about that Halo TV series, as a legendary project of Stevens. He says he godfathered it in terms of reading every script, helping choose showrunners, the writers, directors, cast, production design, and visual effects. Every aspect of it he looked at. It also says those intrigued by Spielberg's involvement but aren't familiar with the Halo series of games needn't fear being shut out. Showrunner Stephen Kane has outlined plenty of reasons why non-fans will still enjoy Halo, which premieres March 24th. And later this year in other regions. He says, if you're absolutely new to the game or don't know anything about it, it's still a great story. It's a great war story and a love story. It's a story of intrigue and a story of characters who are just reaching for something, and they're all yearning for something that's just beyond their grasp. So again, the idea of the showrunner coming out here, solidifying the fact that this is very much a great story. The idea of it being a war story, a love story, it really goes to show you where the attention to detail style and the focus of this series is. But again, the idea that Steven Spielberg himself, he godfathered it in terms of reading every script for this series, helping specifically to choose the showrunner that might be perfect for this show, along with the writers to grasp that tone, the directors to grasp that vision, the cast, production designs, visual effects, every aspect of it he looked at. So again, for me, I didn't even know he was that involved. It is one of those things where you look at somebody and you see, oh yeah, he's a producer, he's an executive producer. Maybe it's in the sense of, you know, he's helped funding this sort of thing, but to kind of see that even going so far back when he tried to do an adaptation of the video game back in 2013, from going from an adaptation as a movie wise to say seeing how this Halo TV series um has developed and now into a TV series, it seems very much like Steven Spielberg has been a part of it the entire way. And if there is anybody that has that keen eye for knowing talent when he sees it, putting people in their best position to truly thrive, it is somebody like Steven Spielberg, who just has a legendary track record of being successful in almost anything that this man certainly touches. The only thing that is missing from this is Steven Spielberg doing this series himself. With the fact that he had such a big hands on, for me, helps me believe that we have the very trusted people behind the camera, certainly putting this together. And when I hear that, and then on top of that, I hear the showrunner talk about how great of a story that it is, the focus and attention to detail for just general audiences who maybe haven't played this game before, but can jump in and truly enjoy it. I think that's exactly what you need in order to have a series be rather successful. So I feel really good about this Halo TV series. Could this show be a complete train wreck? Absolutely, it certainly can. But nothing that I've seen so far has truly given me any hesitancy to not certainly enjoy it. I mean, granted, you know, I'll certainly watch the first episode, and I think we're probably going to go ahead and review this for APlus Hero Report for you guys. Also, me and Indy did talk a couple of weeks ago in regards to it, since some of his shows are wrapping up. I believe Batwoman is wrapping up, and with Halo starting March 24th, I believe Indy's going to be doing the reviews for Halo. With him being a big video gamer, he's played countless series of Halo, knows the story in and out sort of thing. He's probably the best man for the job to go ahead and do the reviews for Halo series going forward. So if you are looking for a home for your Halo TV series, this is it, guys. So hit that subscribe button if you get the opportunity to do so. But I'm loving everything that I'm hearing so far. This definitely gives me hope and high anticipation that this series will do its thing and do it accordingly, and hopefully make fans of the video game very proud and really happy in regards to what we are certainly getting. So yeah, man, thank God Steven Spielberg is still as invested in this as he certainly is. And I think if anything, it's just going to show up in the work. It's one of those things, like, I think if you are a creator out in the world of Hollywood and you know that you're working on a project that is being helmed or at least closely regarded by and looked over by somebody like a Steven Spielberg, I got to think you want to put your best foot forward and really make this series not only look as good as it can, but tell the story as best as it possibly can too. So I'm looking forward to it, guys. But let me know your thoughts in regards to this. Does the involvement of Steven Spielberg in the Halo TV series give you a little bit more hope, seeing how hands-on he certainly was? And what are your thoughts in regards to what the showrunner said in regards to the main focus of this series? Does it give you hope? Are you still weary? You have high expectations, low expectations? Go ahead and let me know your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. What's up? We got Frank. What's up, Frank? Appreciate it. He says, "Hey, Adam, you're doing great in solo action today. Thank you very much." Some people don't appreciate the hard work that goes into being solo. You know what I'm saying, man? So thank you, Frank, for picking that up. He says, "I think Ariana won her SAG for Best Supporting Actress for I think she's gender queer role as Anita and West Side Story. Excited about Kraven. Oh, thank you for the heads up, Frank, in regards. So yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to see West Side Story yet. I am a big musical fan, so I think the last one I watched was Into the Heights. So for me, it's really cool to kind of see where those actors from Into the Heights have gone, right? Anthony Ramos is now going to be in Transformers. Leslie Grace is our new Batgirl. So to kind of see, I really want to dive into West Side Story because I feel like there's been a lot of actors that have been attached to that movie that have been getting recognition and bigger roles out there also. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have to check out West Side Story whenever I get a chance. You know, I will say this. Let me ask you guys a question, since I've got 6 viewers. If you guys want to go ahead and throw your thoughts into the comment section, let me know. You know, the girlfriend approached me the other day with an idea for additional content. Now, whether or not it's something that's going to be posted on APlus Hero Report or a brand new YouTube channel, I'm not quite sure. But the girlfriend approached me in regards to the idea of doing movie reviews. You know, her and I watch a lot of movies. She's never really been in front of the camera before in regards to doing reviews for anything. It's truly just kind of been me. But we watch so many movies together. I think I might have teased the idea before in the past, but the fact that she approached me this time around to maybe want to do some movie reviews as a couple, I thought was actually relatively interesting. You know, we do have ourselves the Oscars later on this year, and you guys know I'm a big movie fan, so I love the Oscars. We may be revisiting or watching some Oscar nominated movies for Best Picture, and maybe we'll do some reviews for those leading up until we actually get the Oscars towards the end of this month. So we'll see. We'll see if that's something that we decide to do. But I would be curious if you guys would be interested in certainly checking that out. Or if that's something that we should even decide to tackle. So I am trying to come up with some ways in regards to presenting it for us, but maybe it's something that we'll dip our toes in and see how me and the girlfriend work on camera together. So we'll see. But that was definitely just an idea that certainly popped up on her part. With that out of the way, guys, we will make our next transition into our next topic. Let's see here. Marcelino says that sounds like something for APlus Hero Report than rather than making it its own channel. And that's something I think we're trying to figure out also in regards to if that's something I feel like it's appropriate to go on APlus Hero Report, because I think we've even approached Stuart to maybe try and do some movie reviews also. That hasn't really turned into much of anything, unfortunately, because I do want to add more traditional movies and movie reviews to the channel, not just superhero genre stuff or sci-fi and fantasy stuff. You know, I really do want to include more traditional movie reviews to the channel. So we'll see how that happens, but that is something that we are debating on. So thank you for your opinion there, Marcelino. All right, guys, last 2 topics for us to go ahead and dive into before we get into your live viewer questions. Again, if you do have any live viewer questions, feel free to start submitting them over if you'd like to. You can send them over anytime during the week if you'd like to aplusopinions@gmail.com. Again, that's aplusopinions@gmail.com. If there's an episode that you watch, a movie that you watch, an article that you read throughout the week, maybe some rumors, theories, speculation that you want to talk further about, feel free to submit all those thoughts and comments and questions to aplusopinions@gmail.com. And at the end of our show, we'll always get to your guys' questions. So yeah, always feel free to submit them over. If you guys want to start sending them over now, you certainly can. We got 2 more topics left before we wrap up. Let's go ahead and dive back more into the world of movies, ladies and gentlemen, as the Alien franchise, believe it or not, is back in the news. I feel like it was just yesterday that we talked about the showrunner Noah Hawley, most notably known from his time over in Fargo, getting the opportunity to tackle an Alien TV series. We know that the TV series is currently in development, that I believe is supposed to be a prequel series at that also, with brand new characters and such. So Noah Hawley is definitely going to be tackling aliens. So I was scratching my head and a little bit confused as to the idea that this week we got an announcement that a brand new Alien movie is actually in the works as well. So it seems as though this franchise for Aliens continues to expand, whether for good or bad. We'll definitely have to see, but let's go ahead and dive into this and see if we can get any further details. But this is from Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that a new Alien movie is in the works with the Don't Breathe filmmaker, Fede Alvarez. And this is an exclusive report from them in regards to this actually happening. So it says, your screams in space will be heard by Fede Alvarez. If Fede Alvarez has anything to say about it, the filmmaker behind Don't Breathe and the 2013's remake of Evil Dead has been tapped to write and direct an original standalone Alien feature for 20th Century Studios. Ridley Scott, who directed the original sci-fi horror released back in 1979, and return for its two 21st century installments, will produce via his Scott-free banner. It says the project is intended to be made for Hulu as part of the 20th century's ambitions to make more than 10 movies a year for the Disney-operated streaming service. So this is a streaming service movie going straight to Hulu. Um, um, as it looks as though Hulu is trying to do 10 movies a year, 10 original movies, if you will. So Ridley Scott returning as producer, as it looks as though the filmmaker behind Don't Breathe and the 2013 remake of Evil Dead, Fede Alvarez, gets to tackle this movie. It says Alien and its many sequels and prequels focus on the horror of the ferocious race of alien beings called xenomorphs who implant eggs inside living bodies via face huggers that violently burst out of chest when they reach certain stages of maturity. It says, according to the sources, Alvarez is a rabid fan of the franchise and casually pitched a take to Ridley Scott many years ago. The idea remained implanted in Ridley Scott's brain until this late last year when he called Alvarez out of the blue and asked him if he was up for it. Alvarez didn't have to be asked twice. So it says they picked up the project purely off the strength of Fede's pitch. And it was just a really good story with a bunch of characters you've never seen before. So I love the idea that Fede pitched this idea to Ridley Scott years ago. Homeboy didn't jump on the idea back then, but somewhere in the masterful world of Ridley Scott's mind, he apparently did find a home or a place for this movie to truly exist within the franchise as a whole. I would be interested to see like how connected this is. To it. It says Alvarez is certainly a filmmaker who loves his genre work. He has gained a following from his unsparing horror projects, including writing and directing the Evil Dead remake and co-writing and producing the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which honestly, I was not a fan of this Netflix's Chainsaw Massacre at all. I honestly didn't see the purpose for it whatsoever. I'm not going to put that on Alvarez, though, considering that he was just a co-writer and producer. I think the Don't Breathe and the Evil Dead remake are probably more in lines with what we can probably expect from this film. So if you are actually big fans of either of those, I think you might be in for a treat. But listen, when it comes to alien movies, they have been rather hit or miss for me. The first two alien movies, I was a really big fan of. The sequels after that, I could really care less about. Was it Prometheus, I believe. I actually personally really enjoyed it. I can't remember if they ever did a sequel to it or not. If they did, I certainly didn't see it whatsoever. But the Noah Hawley Alien series I'm really looking forward to. I love Noah as a filmmaker or just like a showrunner in general. So whatever he wants to create, I'm definitely going to be paying attention to. I think Noah's got a fantastic mind. This Alien movie right here, with Ridley being attached but not being the helm of it, I think the fact that Ridley Scott calling Alvarez instead of somebody trying to come back to Ridley Scott to pitch something, the fact that Ridley Scott loved the pitch enough to remember it that long, reach out to it, gives me a little bit hope for this project that it might be steering in the right direction. So I am expecting, especially with Ridley Scott being attached, that this will have some sort of ramifications or be part of the overall story when it comes to the Alien franchise in some capacity. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and give them a shot. When it comes to the movie, though, I probably am not going to have super high expectations really going into it, just because alien movies have disappointed me in the past. And I think, especially when you've got like countless Predator movies and Alien movies after all this time being made, some of them can be a little bit watered down, really disconnected from anything that we've had in the past that have really made this franchise as bold and brilliant as it can be at times. When it comes to the movie, I'll probably be a little bit more hesitant towards it than I will say the television series itself. But this is probably something I'll certainly go ahead and check out. It seems as though a lot of the parties that are a part of this particular movie seemingly are really behind it. So we'll see what we wind up getting when it comes to this Alien film. But I want to know your levels of anticipation for this movie. Marcelino does say some people said the franchise has become the Terminator franchise. Started out good, but everything else later on is bad. Yeah, and that's exactly what I was referring to, that it feels like Aliens over time has become sort of watered down. I unfortunately think that that's kind of what has happened with the property, like even Predator, right? And we've seen our fair share of Alien versus Predator kind of moments also. And it feels like there are times when Aliens is getting to that point, to where they give us bad content, but then they may surprise us with something good, right? So it feels like this franchise is very just up and down when it comes to it. So again, I'm very looking forward to the television series. The Alien movie, on the other hand, I might be a little bit more hesitant for, but I'm certainly going to go ahead and give it a shot when it winds up dropping. Like I wanted to be able to capture that love that the original Aliens sort of wind up getting all those years ago. So I really hope that this movie finds itself in the story that it wants to tell. It doesn't get so overly elaborate to just make it feel like another watered down version of something that we've seen before. So we'll see. But it continues to impress me that Ridley Scott and these production companies continue to push forward when it comes to the Alien franchise. But I want to know your guys' thoughts. Are you big Aliens fans? If so, what are some of the movies that you appreciated and look forward to? And is this a topic, or at least is this some content that you definitely would be looking forward to? Go ahead and let me know your thoughts. Marcelino does say, I saw the recent Predator movie and hated it. I kept saying you could have rated PG-13 even if you didn't cut out the violence and cussing. I'm trying to remember what the most recent um, Predator movie was. For some reason, is that with like the prisoners or something like that, when they're like all on the prisoner? I'm trying to remember who directed that. It's been a while since I've seen a Predator movie, for probably good reason, honestly. Let's see here. And let's go ahead and dive into our last topic also, guys, before we even get into your guys' live viewer questions. This last topic really surprised me. I guess it shouldn't, considering the fact that when it comes to the world of movies, they love nothing more than reboots and sequels. And while this is definitely a sequel that I probably would have asked for maybe 5 or 10 years ago, I don't think it's ever too late for a sequel to this movie, but it was one that really caught me by surprise when it wound up dropping. I was a big fan of the film I Am Legend, if you guys recall, from the fantastic Will Smith film back in the day. Wasn't quite sure if we would ever get ourselves a sequel. It is one of those things where I believe, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've checked out I Am Legend, but I believe the Will Smith character actually did make it to his destination, didn't he? In regards to like where there was a town of people that were cured from any of the outbreak that sort of wind up happening. So I am kind of curious, even though he did sort of find his promised land, if I'm not mistaken, or he was going back to at least um, travel to there. I I wasn't quite sure where the story could go or if there was even more story to tell. But apparently, there is more story to tell when it comes to I Am Legend. As Variety.com is reporting, not only are we getting ourselves a sequel to the Will Smith film, but Michael B. Jordan is joining him as a co-star. Talk about Black Power just at its finest, y'all. Variety.com reporting that Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan set to team up for an I Am Legend sequel, man. I mean, talk about just two powerful actors. Will Smith currently being nominated, I believe, for his role in King Richard. He's had some Oscar nominations in the past for, I believe, Pursuit of Happiness, 7 Pounds, I believe, also. Will Smith is a fantastic actor, man. He truly is. So to be able to have him come back for an I Am Legend sequel and team up with Michael B. Jordan, who just continues to rise in power when it comes to Hollywood. I cannot wait to see these two on screen together, not just performance wise, but action wise, because I'm pretty sure we're going to see these two in a very post apocalyptic world facing off against some viral zombies. And that is an automatic win for me, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and dive into this article, though. This is from Variety.com. It says Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan will star and produce an I Am Legend follow up featuring and penned by Akiva Goldsman. Smith shared a teaser photo alluding to the partnership following the news and tagged Michael B. Jordan in the post as well. Oscar winner Akiva Goldsman adapted the Richard Matheson 1954 novel for the original 2007 film and returns to pen the follow up. Now, this is interesting to me. I am not sure if there is a follow up to the novel of I Am Legend that was written back in 1954. So the idea of taking the novel and adapting it to a 2007 film, I am curious to see, like, since they had something to adapt from, I am curious if it helped them with the writing. But now the fact that, again, I don't know if there was a sequel to I Am Legend's novel, but the fact of now penning and writing maybe an original concept for a sequel is interesting. Worrisome, perhaps, but interesting to certainly say the least. It does say details about the new movie, including its plot and who will direct, are scarce as it is still in development. I will be fascinated to see who directs this movie. Maybe who I'm curious who the director was for World War Z. That's somebody that I would even be open to seeing maybe tackle this movie. Let's see. World War Z director. Who directed that film? Mark Forster. I'm not sure what else Mark Forster is doing, but I did love what he wind up doing with World War Z. But regardless, it says directed by Francis Lawrence, I Am Legend starred Will Smith as a virologist, Robert Neville, the sole survivor in New York City, as a man made plague that transforms human into bloodthirsty mutants and follows him while he fights to find a cure. The movie opened at the top of the domestic box office with $77 million and went on to earn more than $585 million worldwide. We should have probably had a sequel for this 2 years afterwards, if you ask me, like no later than 2010, especially if that movie wind up making that much in the box office. Um, It does say here that news of the team up comes as Smith is earning some of the biggest accolades in his blockbuster career for his leading performance in King Richard. So, yeah, man, Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan are combining their power to go ahead and give us an I Am Legend sequel. Me and the girlfriend actually tried to rewatch I Am Legend last week. After reading this news, I thought to myself, I asked my girlfriend yesterday, last night, like, babe, let's try and find I Am Legend on streaming service. I couldn't find it anywhere without having to actually rent it. I could have swore I actually saw it on some streaming service. I thought maybe even Paramount Plus for a brief stint of time, but I could not find this movie anywhere on streaming services yesterday, at least for free. But it is one that I kind of want to go back and rewatch now with the announcement of this. I remember seeing I Am Legend in the theaters and it blew me away. Just absolutely creepy. Frightening to say the least. The design of the mutants were actually pretty cool. Seeing Will Smith in that kind of role really worked for me. So I want to see more of it. I truly do. I think they're while originally watching this, I wasn't quite sure where this movie would lead, but it does make me wonder who Michael B. Jordan can certainly be playing. Like, I'm trying to remember if he had a kid, like if he had a son in this movie or not. Curious if Michael B. Jordan could be playing his son now, sort of all grown up since that time, since we last saw him. I can't recall if he had a son in the movie or not, but I definitely want to see these two work together in this fashion and putting together just a very epic and action-packed storyline for a movie like this. So I'm really pumped to kind of see how this comes to fruition. There's no release date or anything like that. It looks like this concept and idea has maybe just been put together. So I'm not exactly sure how far along in the development for this series it definitely is, but this is a combination between these two that I'm really, really looking forward to. Marcelino does say there are two endings for I Am Legend, one where Will Smith's character sacrificed himself, and another where he realized he's the monster and left the survivors to find the sanctuary. There was no sequel to I Am Legend novel, but the movie is so different from the novel that it doesn't even matter. Oh, well, thank you for that clarification. Oh, he had a daughter that died in the by the helicopter crash. I do recall the helicopter crash. So yes, thank you very much for refreshing my memory with that. But yeah, I mean, if there was no sequel to I Am Legend, it will be interesting to kind of see the liberties and the freedom now that Akiva Goldsman has in sort of telling this story. Sometimes that worries me. The idea, I mean, I think you can kind of look at what like Game of Thrones as a perfect example of that. Granted, writing for television and writing for movies are two completely different things, but the idea of having source material, despite even the idea of maybe like you mentioned, the movie being significantly different than the movie, having some sort of level of source material, I gotta think definitely does help you. But the idea of maybe doing something completely original maybe benefits Akiva a little bit. Doesn't really hinder him or really give him the handcuffs to tell the story that he certainly wants to tell. So even though there may not be a sequel to the novel itself, I do think that there's probably more that can be really mined from this property. And I think if you have somebody like a Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan, two names that I think garner and warrant people's attention, people will come out to this movie. I think if even the fact that this movie is probably 10 years late, this movie should have been out in like 2010, honestly, after the success of the first film. But who knows? I don't know what changed when it comes to the mind of Hollywood, but I feel like we have been going back to revivals and allowing some of these really big actors to revisit some of their biggest roles and sort of bring them back to the forefront once again. It feels like we're kind of in that period of Hollywood movie making. So this feels like a no-brainer. I should have come sooner, but I'm definitely going to take it now if you're ready to give it to me. So yeah, an I Am Legend sequel is on the way, guys. Going to be helmed and led by Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan. What's your level of enthusiasm to kind of see these two incredible Hollywood powerhouses finally working together? I can't recall them being in a movie side by side, but this definitely warrants my attention. So I cannot wait. Just give me a back-to-back shot of Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan back to back, just firing down some mutants. I would absolutely love to see a shot like that. Give it like Avenger style and everything. Just camera zooming in, face just a complete 360 circle around these two guys. I would absolutely love it. And good luck to Will Smith in the Oscars here this year. King Richard is a movie that is on my list for me and the girlfriend to certainly watch. I'm expecting him to definitely bring his A game. So good luck, man. Good luck in the Oscar nominations. I think he did win Best Actor in the SAG Awards, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong in regards to that. So maybe big things are still to come for Will Smith later on this year, but we'll definitely keep you posted once the Oscars wind up dropping. All right, guys. I think with that out of the way, that will do it for all of our topics here today. Look at that, an hour and a half in regards to 6 topics, breaking records here at APlus Hero Report today, guys, in regards to how quickly we're getting through some of these topics. I was actually a really big fan of these topics here this week. Some really great actors getting the opportunity to shine. Let's see here. We do have ourselves some questions. I am going to transition over. Whoa. A lot of these people, wait, what happened here? Man, I got to tell you, I was this morning, because we are going to jump into live viewer questions. Even though Stuart's not here, I got to come through for Stuart when it comes. I should just have him record that and we just play that as a sound bite kind of going forward. I will say this too, guys. Let me ask you something. StreamYard has officially introduced background music to our shows. I don't know if there's background music playing right now or not, but we have a couple. Hold on. Yeah. But they do give us like different types of background music. Yeah, they've added background music to maybe I wonder if we should include background music on our shows. Yeah, I like the rock music one. I use the rock one is what Datilla winds up saying. I haven't really had a chance to experiment with these background musics as of yet, but maybe for live viewer questions, we'll introduce some tunes. You know what I'm saying? As we go through these questions. If the music's too loud or if it's too low, please let me know. You said you like the rock one. What's the rock one sound like? All right, Attila, I'll let you have that. Night driving. Oh, this is the mellow tones of APlus Hero Report. That's what that night driving's like. Damn. This is some baby making music they have here. Laffy. I might stick with the Into Space. All right. There we go. If you need it louder, if it's too low, go ahead and let me know, man. But we're gonna create a little bit of a vibe on APlus Hero Report today with these live viewer questions. And kudos to everybody that has submitted live viewer questions over to me. Honestly, it is one of those things where we do continue to grow on our channel here, especially APlus More Phenomenal has really been growing. We've been getting a lot of live viewer questions as of late over there. And it seems as though some of you guys that love our APlus More Phenomenal content are coming back over here to APlus Hero Report to definitely go ahead and tune in from time to time. There's a plethora of questions that I wind up getting. So I guess if anything, let's go ahead and dive into it, man. I'm so used to getting like 2 or 3 sets of questions, but it looks like we got like 10 today. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Francois Dupont coming to us from France, man. International superstars now on APlus Hero Report as our channel continues to be spread around it. He said, Maslany says it's better than the annoying stock music always used for his reviews. The music he uses sounds like an animal growling. What, on mine? Who are you talking about, man? Let's see here. Here report says, what were some of your favorite films to come out the last couple of years, and what impact did it give the movie industry and pop culture? I don't know if they've impacted pop culture or changed the movie industry in any way like that. But let me see. Can I go to my AMC stubs? Let me see if I can go to my AMC stubs account. I just want to see if it's got a list of like movies that I've seen utilizing my AMC stubs so far. Let's see if I go to my AMC, my tickets. Is there like a see a movie coming soon? No, I'm trying to see if there was like a hey, look at all the movies that you've seen so far. I've got a bunch of awards. I've seen Matrix Resurrection, New Way Home, Eternals, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Candyman was actually pretty good. I was actually a really big Candyman fan. I thought that movie worked out really relatively well for me. I was a big fan. Jared, what's up, Jared? Good to certainly see you in these parts, man. Thank you very much for certainly coming through. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. What TV or movie actor would you ever like to meet one day and take a picture with, or even interview on YouTube? That's a good question. You know who I've actually been thinking about? Jordan Calloway from Black Lightning that played Painkiller. There's always been something in the back of my mind. I've always really wanted to meet Jordan Calloway. He seems like he's a pretty cool, respectable, down-to-earth guy that would really love to pick his brain in. I would love to pick his brain. Michael B. Jordan, same. I would really love to meet him and talk to him one day as a movie actor that I would love to meet. Maybe even interview at some point in time. There's quite a few out there, but I think like Michael B. Jordan is the first one that comes to mind, along with Jordan Calloway, if I had to pick somebody from movie and somebody from television. Let's see here. Couple other questions, and I believe Francois, I believe you submitted that question over to APlus More Phenomenal. So next time, remember to send it to APlus Opinions. APlus Opinions. Oh, I think you did. Yeah, you did. You sent it to both emails. Let's see here. Jessica Friedman. When do you think we learn which Arrowverse show will come back for the other seasons? And would you like to see Jesse Quick return to the Flash? I would love to see Jesse Quick return to the Flash. Where is Jesse Quick? I would love to see her come back. Which Arrowverse show will come back for another season? I'm kind of hoping Batwoman gets a renewal for season 4. I mean, I know that we're getting a Gotham Knights in the works. That was at least ordered for a pilot order. We'll see if it gets picked up. But there is vibes that I'm getting that if Gotham Knights gets picked up, then we might be saying farewell to Batwoman. They haven't announced that yet whatsoever, but I am curious as to why they haven't announced a renewal for season 4, despite the fact that I think the ratings probably have been better for this season. And I've been hearing a lot of great things. And again, it's one of those things that Twitter can be like just a hate sphere and very toxic when it comes to some of these Arrowverse shows. But I've really been seeing more love for Batwoman this season than I have any other season. And so for me, it just feels like very positive trajectory that the season is going. But with that being said, it is the CW. It would not surprise me. Sometimes it feels like Warner Brothers has a quota of how many black television shows it can have on a one air. Like 1, 2 is too many sometimes. Like we can't have that many successful black shows. Like Naomi's our one go-to. So all of a sudden now we got to remove and cancel Batwoman. Like I hope that's not the case. But sometimes that's just how it feels when it comes to the direction and the decision making when it comes to CW at times. So I'm kind of surprised and really hoping that we do get a renewal for Batwoman season 4 that is yet to be renewed. So we'll see what happens. Doomsday. Do you think that the TVMA Marvel shows like Daredevil and Defenders will work when they get deported over to Disney Plus? I definitely do think that they will. It doesn't feel like Disney is going to be changing anything from those series, with the exception of at least allowing for parental guidance controls, at least in regards to changing the streaming service rather than changing the series to accommodate it being family friendly. It seems as though Disney Plus recognizes that it wants to branch out to bigger audiences, and is allowing for MA TV content to be presented on Disney Plus. So it feels like, for me, with Disney Plus making that maneuver, it seems as though it's like, hey, Defenders franchise, we love you just the way that you are. Please don't change. And I think also at the end of the day, that sort of green lights the idea that going forward, series like a Moon Knight can be brutal. Maybe something like a Blade can still be brutal and give us a TVMA rating or a more mature rating. Or maybe if we do get revivals of any of these shows, Punisher, Daredevil, to know that Marvel won't be necessarily holding back their punches. So that definitely gives me hope for what we have when it comes to TVMA and Marvel. Gabriel, what's up, Gabriel? Appreciate you coming through today. He says, please try to say this 4 times without making a mistake. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Oh, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Listen, that's like a tongue twister that I feel like I've been saying my whole life. I'm gonna need some tougher tongue twisters than that to really flip me, really mess me up. But I feel like I've been saying that for years. Do you guys know? Thank you, Gabriel. Though that was pretty fun. Do you guys know Spider-Man: No Way Home is coming to digital March 22nd and April 12th on Blu-ray? How excited are you to actually own the incredible team-up movie and watch it at home? I'm actually really pumped. It's been a while. Like, my Marvel MCU collection that I've been building over the years has kind of dwindled, honestly. Like, it's been a while since I actually picked up physical copies. Like, I am missing a big portion of my MCU stuff. I want to say there's a part of me, like, the last MCU thing I picked up might have been like Ragnarok or Infinity War or something along those lines. I can't quite recall. I'll have, outside of the Spider-Man stuff that we've gotten, I have gotten the Spider-Man movies, but I want this for myself, not only just to capture one of the best cinematic moments in movie history for us gigantic nerds out there to see all 3 of these Spider-Men together, but I think for me, the special features is true. Like, I've seen this movie like already 2-3 times for Spider-Man: No Way Home. So for me, it's the special features. Like, I really want to see the secrets that went into trying to keep Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield separated, and their involvement as quiet as possible. And I also just want to see not only how that story came together, but really how these 3 Spider-Men just got along and worked together on set. There is something that kind of chokes me up and just makes me so happy that these men got the opportunity to share this moment, not only for themselves, but also to be able to bring it all together for us fans, for just a gigantic moment that I'll never forget, because I always grew up a huge Spider-Man fan as a kid. He always represented sort of that traditional nerd, you know, that just never got recognized or just didn't have that self-confidence in himself for people to know he even existed, right? And then just that everyday person mentality of still trying to struggle with him being a superhero, but also dealing with everyday life. It is just one of those perfect combinations of who Peter Parker is that I think everybody can easily attach themselves to, which is why I think Spider-Man has become such a beloved character. But just growing up and having that fondness for Spider-Man, to be able to see all 3 of these iterations that, again, growing up as a kid, I never thought we would even get a fucking live action Spider-Man movie in the way that Sam Raimi and Sony and Marvel have given us. So just to be a kid reading Marvel comic books for Spider-Man, to be an adult to see all 3 of these together, I'm so hyped to own this DVD and movie for myself, just so I can really get a dive into the special features and the movie once again, man. So I'm really, really pumped for that. AJ's got a couple questions. Why do many people dislike season 3 of The Flash? I always saw it as the darkest season. We were revealed that one of various time remnants at the end of season 3 turned evil as Avatar after being thrown away to defeat Zoom. Barry started losing everyone he loves, like his friends and Iris. Barry had just lost his dad to Zoom right at the end of season 2. We even had the awesome future episode when Barry met up with his future self, who was completely broken after the death of Iris by Savitar. I actually really liked Evil Barry and how he abandoned Team Flash and Joe. Even that Caitlin was completely taken over by Killer Frost and sided with Savitar, and Barry didn't try saving her again. You know, season 1 was one of my strongest. Season 2 was one of my favorites. Season 3, I honestly didn't mind when the Savitar thing. I think for me, the issue that I started having was the idea of another speedster villain, right? Like for me, I think that was probably the only quirk that I had towards it. It's been a while since I've seen season 3, but I don't remember. I don't remember minding it at all, really, with the displeasure of maybe just realizing, man, another speedster villain. Is this what season 4 is going to be like too? And then I think they hit me with the Thinker soon enough, and I was like, no, I need another speedster in my life, please. Don't hit me with somebody as boring as the Thinker ever again. It just really ruined the franchise. So there are moments in season 3 I was actually a big fan of. For me, I don't think that I think it's after season 3 where I feel like the series really starts kind of falling down, honestly. But Marcelino jumps on board here, says the reason why people don't like season 3 of The Flash because Flashpoint was one episode and Savitar wasn't handled very well. So that could definitely be a lot into it. AJ does also ask, do you consider Die Hard a Christmas movie? Oh, do you consider Die Hard a Christmas movie? Listen, I'm going to be honest with you guys, okay? While I personally troll about the idea of Die Hard being a Christmas movie, I don't consider it really a Christmas movie. It takes place during Christmas, but I don't really see it as a Christmas movie. But it does take place as Christmas. This is an internal battle that I've had for years. Like, I feel like there's plenty, like every year I always like jokingly add Die Hard to my Christmas movie watch list. I literally feel like I watch it every Christmas. Like I really do. Like I've almost tricked my brain into believing that it's a Christmas movie, so I watch it every year. But I don't really consider Die Hard a Christmas movie. But because of the fact that it takes place on Christmas, I do watch it during Christmas time. But damn, does that make it a Christmas movie then? I'm so confused and conflicted. I don't know. Krampus is a Christmas movie. Yeah, Krampus definitely is a Christmas movie. Like Hawkeye, the Hawkeye TV series, I kind of consider that a Christmas series. I feel like Hawkeye is something I can watch every Christmas also. There was something else I was also questioning if it was considered Christmas. I can't remember off the top of my head. Gremlins, I consider a Christmas movie. I don't consider, man, I don't know, guys. Do you consider Die Hard a Christmas movie? I feel like each year while I don't believe Die Hard is a Christmas movie, I do believe each year I'm starting to believe that it is more and more. But that's just me, though. Let's see here. We got a few other questions here, guys. Marcelino, he says, Paul Giamatti has been called the worst version of Rhino. People say that the voice actors for Spider-Man characters in video games are better than him. If Rhino were ever to be recast, which actor should play him? I wouldn't say he's the worst. Well, people say he's the worst version of Rhino. I didn't really care for Paul Giamatti as the Rhino, honestly. I thought the suit was pretty cool, but I didn't really care for him because he barely has a role in Spider-Man. But to be honest, some people are going to push back to this. I feel like unless you're a really huge recognizable character, I don't really consider voice actors to be like versions of these characters. Like, unless your name is Kevin Conroy, unless your name is Ashley Eckstein, there's really very few other voice actors that I would say that guy or that girl is a version of any character. You know what I mean? Like when I think of Superman, I think of all Superman live action versions. I don't think of any of the voice actors that have ever portrayed Superman as an iteration of Superman at all. So when you say Paul Giamatti is the worst version of Rhino. I consider him the only version of Rhino. Like the other voice actors and video games or cards, that's cool and all, but I don't consider them a version of Rhino like at all. Like if you were to say, if somebody were to ask, hey Adam, would you like the voice actors from the video games to have portrayed Rhino in the movie? Fuck no. No, I don't want them in the movie. Give me Paul Giamatti every day. So yeah, I don't consider them iterations or versions of the characters at all, or representations, unless your name is Kevin Conroy or Ashley Eckstein. But outside of that, who I would like to have seen play, God, I don't know, somebody that can do a better Russian accent than this guy. Anybody else really? I don't really have anybody off the top of my head. Give me maybe Mads Mikkelsen from Rogues Gallery and Fantastic Beast. I don't know. Yeah, maybe Mads Mikkelsen. I love me some Mads Mikkelsen. Why not? What are your thoughts on the rumors that Corey Stoll, the actor who played Yellow Jacket, might return in Ant-Man? God, no, don't tell me that. What are your thoughts on the rumors that Corey Stoll, the actor who played Yellow Jacket in Ant-Man, might return in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium to play the villain MODOK? It's backed up by the Illuminati, and it's hard to prove them wrong. So it has a possibility of being right. It definitely has a possibility of being right. But I thought we already did MODOK. I thought we already did a version of MODOK in Captain America. So it feels very weird to me. Like when we see Captain America and Black Widow in the bunker, and they see the old scientist's face on the screen, I'm pretty sure that's a version of MODOK. So there is I am kind of confused about this rumor of Corey Stoll coming back to play the villain MODOK. Is it possible? Absolutely. But I just don't like Corey Stoll. I'm just not a fan of him as an actor. I'm just not. Like, he just feels like a B-C level actor to me that portrays henchmen, mob bosses that people don't really care about. Like, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan whatsoever in it. Marcelino says that wasn't MODOK in Winter Soldier. Let me see if I can pull it up. I can't remember who the name of that character then, Winter Soldier, because that's who I thought it was at first. But maybe I was wrong. Oh, Arnim Zola. That's what it is. Arnim Zola. See, but I was under the impression that Arnim Zola in that movie was supposed to be representing supposed to be representing MODOK. Yeah, like I know it's Arnim. I know that it's Arnim Zola, but I think there's a part of me that wants to say that his version of Arnim Zola that we were supposed to be meeting in the Winter Soldier was supposed to be a representation of MODOK. So that's what's throwing me off. But I guess not. Maybe they have other plans for him. But regardless, Corey Stoll, please, no. I didn't care for him as Yellow Jacket in the Ant-Man movie whatsoever. I don't care about him as MODOK. Like I'm not a fan of his. He just feels very B-C level actor to me that doesn't really capture the screen or capture my attention anytime that he's on there. So yeah, it's a really big disappointment, and I'm looking forward to Quantumanium. So hopefully he doesn't ruin the movie for me. I was planning on asking this with Stuart and Indy, and I might ask this again one day. Currently, Superman and Son of Kal-El comics, John Kent is fighting against climate change by protesting. A lot of people say that something like that doesn't work in the DC universe because you need to fit the story you're trying to tell in the world you're setting. Meanwhile, pollution should not exist in the DC universe, whether by superhero intervention, for example, like Superman using his powers. A suggestion that they think would have been better while telling a story about pollution is something like this. Instead of John Kent doing nothing but protest, the story is changed to an invading alien species attacking Earth and tries to terraform Earth into something else by using greenhouse gases. I mean, that's pretty cool. I kind of dig the idea of doing something like that, but I mean, how do we know there's no pollution in the DC universe? I mean, just because it should not exist in our minds doesn't mean that it doesn't exist in the comic books. So I'm cool with him just simply wanting to protest. I mean, it would be pretty cool to kind of see maybe how Jonathan Kent and other superheroes maybe navigate around trying to bring forth climate change outside of protesting, like maybe some pushback from senators, maybe some superheroes gather together in Congress to talk to Congress about the changes, but get some pushback from big international voices in the world, maybe over at the UN or something, right? Like I wouldn't mind seeing them go various lengths to try and make things happen, and realizing maybe the idea of just even being superheroes may not necessarily be enough to bring about the changes that we need, but them trying to go out of their way to make any changes that they possibly can. Like I like your story. Like I do like your path, Marcelino, in regards to the alien invasion and stuff. Like that's cool. That fits comic books really, really well. But I don't think we should be under the impression that just because it's a DC universe and they have a bunch of superhero intervention, that pollution shouldn't exist. It certainly could, right? We just don't know that. Like I've never seen anything in the DC comics that say it does not exist. If they came out and said that's the case, then yeah, it would be pretty stupid for Superman to be protesting against something that doesn't exist. But the fact that Superman is protesting, I guess there is pollution in the comic book world. Maybe there's other reasons. I know it's not your story, Marcelino. I'm just saying that the idea that you've presented from this person is sounds like a good storyline to me. I would definitely take it. Michael Rhymes, why did you guys think all the Netflix Marvel series? But what did you guys think of all the Netflix Marvel series? And would you like to see the characters return, even if played by different actors? And what do you think of when they did the mega crossover in Defenders? I was a big fan of the Defenders crossover. For me, it did highlight some characters that I wasn't big fans of, and actually seeing their chemistry with the other characters kind of uplifted them a little bit more in my eyes and gave me a little bit more of a positive view. Like while I wasn't the biggest fan of the Jessica Jones series, she just wasn't a character that I truly cared for. I get her personality traits, and that's just who Jessica Jones is, but it's a personality trait that really just rubs me the wrong way, and it's hard for me to sympathize and empathize for a character like that with her personality. So I really couldn't handle it too much. And then Iron Fist. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first Iron Fist season, even though a lot of people really appreciated the second season for what it was. But I think something like the Defenders helped me appreciate both those characters a little bit more based off of the team up. So while I wasn't the biggest fans of all the series, loved Daredevil, loved Punisher, really appreciated what I did see of Luke Cage, but the other seasons, I probably could have done without. But I did love, was a big fan of the Defenders and how they kind of all came together. And as far as seeing the characters return, yes, I would like to see the characters actually return. I don't think we need to change them up as different actors. I think we could probably recast them to reprise their roles if we want to at this point. Also, what did Stuart think of the first episode? Well, he's not here, unfortunately, today. Maybe you could reach out to him on social media and ask him. If you can't answer this, I want to ask what made him interested in working at a movie theater. Okay, well, you can definitely ask him that, Michael, next time. Maybe I'll try and save those questions for you for next time. Let's see here. Who else we got? Nicole. What's up, Nicole? Joining us for APlus Hero Report. Good to see you. You say, this is from Nicole. She says, hi, guys. I was wondering, when it comes to new movies that are incredibly hyped, how do you know if it does very well or flops? I saw some of your old videos regarding Black Widow, and while it was a very anticipated film, it did not do so well. Why is that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, I don't necessarily know if it was that anticipated of a film. And the only reason why I say that is One, I think Black Widow is a movie that a lot of people really wanted to see sooner than what we got. And I think some people felt a little bit off and confused about the idea of why we were getting a Black Widow movie now after Natasha died in Avengers Endgame, right? Because we got this solo film sort of after her death. It definitely worked out, if you ask me, in regards to setting up storylines for Yelena Belova for a phase 4 here, along with storylines coming from that film into, say, like a Hawkeye series also, right? So it definitely has its purposes. So I don't know if I would have called it a very highly anticipated film, but one that I think people at least have always wanted there to be a Black Widow film. But I think people certainly wanted it a lot sooner than what it was. So how do we know? How do you know if it does very well or flops? Well, it's really just the box office. I think a lot of that can be based off of what the budget for the movie was kind of going into it. So, for instance, box office mojo, it's really depending on how much of a budget it was to go ahead and make Black Widow, and then comparing it to exactly what it ended up making in the box office. Let me see if what is the budget? Black Widow movie budget. Let me see if they have an answer to this on Google. They're saying the budget was $200 million, which just sounds ridiculous. Um, um, which just sounds ridiculous to me, honestly. It says throw in multiple release date delays, false start promotion over the last 18 months, and you can estimate roughly maybe $150 million in production costs. So anywhere between $150 million to $200 million. So usually you want to try and at least double your budget when it comes to your production. And so with them only making this movie for about $150-200 million, you really would like to see this movie bring in at least maybe 300 million to warrant the idea. So the idea here is for worldwide, though, this movie actually did make about $379 million worldwide. So two things here. Not bad, but when you're spending $200 million for production, you probably want this movie to rack in at least $200 million, because you remember you also have to pay back costs for marketing and releasing the movie out in theaters also. So that'll definitely chew into some of your profit that you're making on top of your budget already. So right, like they probably have spent maybe 200, maybe even $250 million, including marketing costs and things like that also. So didn't quite come in with the amount of money that they probably would have wanted to make. So probably a little bit underwhelming in Marvel's eyes. And I think some people, maybe just with Marvel movies these days, a lot of them breaking either $1 billion or over, the $500-700 million mark, to kind of see a Black Widow movie come in and make under what you were probably projecting. Some people probably looked at it certainly as a flop. One of the things that really could have caused the movie to maybe not have done so well in the box office, you have to remember we were dealing with the pandemic during that time. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that that was a movie that Disney decided to go ahead and also release on Disney Plus at the same time, the movie being out in the box office. So there are some that believe that Disney undercut themselves in regards to actually making a profit when it comes to Black Widow, that it could have made more money in the box office had Disney just released it instead of releasing it in theaters and Disney Plus certainly at the same time. So it's one of the reasons why we had Scarlett Johansson pushing back against Disney for such a long time. The idea that Disney Plus certainly made money to its stockholders and its investors and things like that, but that's money that they see that Scarlett unfortunately didn't. So it definitely was some pushback. So that's one of the reasons why it didn't do so well box office wise, why some people considered it certainly a flop. But yeah, to each its own, however you certainly view Black Widow. You also say, how we get revival films when we get the original actors returning, and they interact with new characters, do you think that Hollywood should focus on just the original cast and not having them interact with brand new ones? I remember a film I've seen, it unfortunately flopped in the box office, and critical receptions because of the new cast overshadowed the original actors, making them feel unimportant or pointless, even changing what we love about the original characters. So, do you think that the Hollywood should focus on just the original cast and not have them interact with brand new ones? I guess it's just depending on what the story is that you're trying to tell. If it's the idea of a revival film or series, and you want to focus on the original cast. I mean, like, some people do the revival series just to bring those characters back into the spotlight and see what they're up to these days, and just focus on them. And other times it is meant in a sense of passing on the baton to a new generation, right? It's very much what the Star Wars movies were supposed to do, the idea of bringing back a lot of their original characters and utilizing them in a sense to not only introduce us to new characters, but also pass on that baton so that these new characters, with that rub of the classic love of the classic characters, to give them sort of the big thumbs up and the okay to take the franchise in their own hands and kind of go forward, right? So some revival series are meant that way, in order to just kind of put some shine and rub on the new characters by having them on screen with the old characters to launch into something new. And sometimes it is a case of just a revival and revisiting these older actors and seeing where their characters are to this day. So I don't think it should be either or. I think it just really is dependent on what your purpose is for the revival film or series and what you're trying to accomplish in your story. So some stories will have you depend on the originals. Some will have you utilize the originals to uplift your new characters. So I don't think there's an either or. I think it's just really dependent on the story you're trying to tell. Ionis, what's up, Ionis? Thank you very much for certainly coming through. What Marvel and DC films are you most anticipated to see this coming year? We got a lot of, let me see, comic book movies for 2022. Let's see. All right, we got, looks like there's 10 in here so far. Is that all there is? Well, I say all there is, like 10 is not a lot. We have, all right, so we've already seen the Batman, Morbius. Morbius is coming. Really anticipating Into the Multiverse of Madness for sure. DC League of Super Pets, don't really care. Love and Thunder, I'm really looking forward to. Black Adam looks fantastic. Oh, Across the Spider-Verse comes out. Yeah, that's another one I'm really looking forward to. The Flash looks incredible. We're getting Black Panther also. Batgirl. Yeah, man, all of these, I'm really looking forward to. Out of these, though, probably give me The Flash, Into the Multiverse, and the Across the Spider-Verse as my top 3 most anticipated out of that list. Yeah. Let's see here. What are your thoughts when Marvel first announced that they were coming out with Captain America: The First Avenger with Chris Evans? And did he do the character justice? Would you ever like to see him return in some way, even if it's a different version of Steve? You know, I will say this. I think when he was first announced, I definitely did laugh because I was like, Johnny Storm? Like, homeboy was just the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four movie. It did make me laugh at the idea, but when I sat back and think about it, I was like, yeah, man. I think it's one of those things, like, physically, yes, I think I was definitely able to see Chris Evans as Captain America, but I think it was just the personality of who he portrayed as Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four that was like, wait, we're gonna take Johnny Storm and turn him into Captain America, right? Instead of just thinking of the idea of like Chris Evans with a different personality and disposition, portraying Steve Rogers. So yeah, I definitely gave a laugh, definitely raised an eyebrow, rather uncertain about Chris Evans as Captain America from a personality standpoint, but physically, I definitely knew Homeboy was definitely right for the role for sure. Um, but as far as would I ever like to see him return in some way? I definitely would. I do think that there are avenues Chris Evans can definitely return to. I mean, we do have in the multiverse of madness certainly still coming with Doctor Strange. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a Steve Rogers pop up there some way, somehow, as Chris Evans, or Chris Evans as Steve Rogers. I think there's also room for old Steve to have a significant role in the MCU. In the comic books, old Steve, after losing sort of his abilities, his super serum soldier, he does stick around as an agent of shield, or like as the head of shield, as old Steve. So like, if Chris Evans doesn't mind coming back and being thrusted into heavy prosthetics, I probably would love to see him come back as an old Steve Rogers, whether that be as head of shield or whatever the case may be for a while. I do think that there is room for him to return. Now, whether or not for him as a Captain America, that I don't know. I really want to see Anthony Mackie shine as Captain America in his own couple of films before that shield goes anywhere else, honestly. So we'll see what happens, but I think there's definitely room for a return for Chris Evans. J.K. Lawrence, thoughts on the new Batman film, and did it meet your expectation? Has Robert Pattinson changed your opinion on him as an actor? Well, I've always had a changed opinion on Robert Pattinson a long time ago, before I even saw him in Batman. So when he was announced, I was actually a really big fan of this choice. I have seen a lot of his indie films that Robert Pattinson has worked on outside of his Twilight stuff, so I never really viewed him as, oh, that Twilight guy that's getting to play Batman. Even though I was definitely anticipating that sort of pushback, but I've seen what Robert Pattinson is capable of doing acting performance-wise in the past. Even just recently saw him in Lighthouse, which he was great in too. Just really shows you his range of performances that he can certainly do, and I see why they definitely wanted him as Batman. As far as my thoughts, listen, we have ourselves a live spoiler discussion for the Batman. Unfortunately, it's just gonna be me once again talking about the Batman, but we do have a spoiler discussion set for you guys later on this afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Time. So if you want to join me for a spoiler discussion for the Batman, again, join us here live at 4 p.m. To go ahead and jump into the discussion as I break down the Batman film and talk about the pros and cons and all that good stuff. But I loved it, and it certainly did meet my expectations. DC and Marvel character you would like to see crossover in the far, far future, and why? I definitely would like to see a Batman and Captain America crossover, like Chris Evans facing off against Robert Pattinson. I think that would be pretty cool. I remember from the Marvel and DC comic books. I really would love to see that type of crossover happen. Maybe we can get ourselves 3 great films from Robert Pattinson. Granted, Chris Evans probably wouldn't come back as a captain. Like, if I were to have a Batman facing off against Cap, it probably would be Pattinson against Evans. But I don't know if storyline wise, that's something that we would ever see again, the idea of Evans as Captain America. But if I had to choose, probably those 2. Joey Thompson, what's up, Joey? He says, since Chris Hemsworth was first introduced as Thor, what were your thoughts of him as the lead and Thor becoming a live-action MCU film? And do you see the next Thor being his last, plus any films you saw of Chris before or want to see him in the future? I didn't know Chris Hemsworth before his introduction to Thor, but seeing him in the Thor movie, I thought he fit the role perfectly. I was really impressed with him, honestly. The first Thor movie, I think, is still a very underrated MCU film. I think it's a really solid and enjoyable one that I think was rather risky for Marvel to do, especially so early on. The idea of having to tackle the concept of Asgardians and realms and these new costume designs, especially after you just grounded and created, the fact that you just created something so a lot more grounded in the MCU. It was a very bold and risky decision, and it worked. And I think Thor is a very underrated film in the MCU and should probably be higher on some people's lists and appreciated a little bit more than it is. But I don't think that this is going to be his last movie. I feel like Chris Hemsworth knows his, no pun intended, worth when it comes to the MCU. You've got characters like Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, moving into the limelight as one of the true leaders of the Avengers as of right now. We don't have Black Widow anymore. Tony Stark is gone. Chris Evans as Captain America is gone. I think, if anything, Chris Hemsworth is probably really needed as Thor. And I think he's still young enough and still in great shape, somebody that loves working out, that I think he truly loves his character Thor and the freedom and the fun that he tends to have. So I don't think this is going to be his last film. I could easily see having 2 more Thor movies, to be honest with you, and giving us a second trilogy of Thor movies, especially if we're going to have Taika Waititi, because Thor Ragnarok truly, I think, injected just new life into this character, and the way that he's been used in the MCU outside of that just feels like he has new energy now. So I think Chris Hemsworth wants to continue to be a big role and a big part of the MCU, and I think there is something important about at least keeping one of the Trinity of the Avengers certainly around, and I think it'll definitely help in the long run. Ever wants to see Chris and his brother Liam be in a movie together? Yeah, I think it would be pretty cool. I would put it on par with seeing like Stephen Amell and his cousin Robbie Amell together in Code 8. That was actually pretty cool to see them working together. So yeah, let me see the both Hemsworth brothers in a movie together if they don't already have one. Like, I'm kind of surprised if they don't have one already, but I could be wrong. What's up, Kurt? We got a couple questions from Kurt Marino. Hey, Adam, saw your other YouTube channel be recommended to me after you ended your Power Ranger episode. What were some of your favorite memorable movies as a kid, and would you ever want to see them make a modern day revival or reboot if done right? One of my movies growing up as a kid that I loved, very much a cult classic. I don't even know if it's considered a cult classic, but one that I loved growing up, at least as a kid, Masters of the Universe, the He-Man movie with Dolph Lundgren. I mention it every once in a while here on APlus Hero Report, but I've been really wanting a Masters of the Universe movie ever since then, a more modern day take on the character, and it's seemingly that we're getting one. It feels very much like we're getting one. It feels like it's been in developmental hell for years, though, but I feel like it is one of those things I won't believe it until I actually see it in front of the camera. But we have been getting some news of a brand new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe movie. I believe that He-Man's officially been cast again for a second time, so maybe that is something that we will eventually get as a live action once again. So if anything, Masters of the Universe would be that. Thoughts on the X-Men franchise, and which movie was the best and worst as of recent, and would you like to receive the return of the X-Men in the MCU someday? Yeah, I think Doctor Strange is going to be that introduction to for us into that particular world. One of the theories that Stuart has been mentioning on here before, I believe this is Stuart's theory, about the idea that all the past Marvel movies that we've seen, from Blade to X-Men to Daredevil, all of that already technically being a part of the MCU and the vastness that is the multiverse. And I think the introduction is seeing somebody like Professor X to maybe this Illuminati sequence that we have in the Doctor Strange trailer. I do wonder if that's in part to emphasize, like, hey, I know we had an entire Marvel set of movies prior to the creation of the MCU, right? That was helmed by a ton of X-Men movies, Daredevil, Blade, the Fantastic Four films, right? Anything that came pre and Ghost Rider. Like I think the appearance of Xavier is a way for him to let us know about those universes, right? Or about those movies, and allowing us to see that, yes, this is all connected in one gigantic multiversal moment. Feels very sort of infinite of, Crisis on Infinite Earth sort of moment that WB did with the CW for their Hourverse kind of shows, right? Like it's that same sort of mentality that everything that you've seen in the past, it truly is all connected on a much bigger scale than you even recognize. So it is something that I'm hoping gets to be showcased to us here when it comes to the X-Men and the MCU kind of going forward. But I've always been a really big fan of the X-Men franchise. My two favorite films, Logan and Days of Future Past, are definitely up there. Not to be outshadowed by X2 or even X-Men First Class. Worst ones, though, clearly probably X-Men 3, The Last Stand. Apocalypse is probably up there with the worst one also. But other than that, the first Wolverine movie, I mean, outside of that, they've had a pretty good track record, if you ask me. I enjoyed the first two X-Men films that we got. First Class, Days of Future Past were great. I even really appreciated Dark Phoenix for certainly what it was. And there's definitely a lot more I certainly would like to see. I truly would. I don't know where the X-Men are going to go from here. There's really a lot of different iterations that they could provide for us. Kevin Feige had mentioned very early on when the X-Men were announced to be in the MCU that it was going to be mutants in the X-Men in ways that you had never seen them before, really. So there are three ways that I would personally like to see the X-Men executed when it comes to the MCU. One, maybe a really interesting iteration of the team in their more classic 1960s form, in the more humanoid form with sort of mutations to their body, right? The idea of Beast with the big ass feet, maybe Angel with the actual wings, if you will, Iceman. I guess maybe Iceman you probably do regularly. But I wouldn't mind seeing a more modernized take on the classic X-Men sort of design. The other two would either be a full-blown going classic Jim Lee 90s X-Men versions of them with those kind of colorful costume designs. With like a 90s flair to the way that you're making these films. That would be interesting. Or even give me something just completely out of the normal, in the sense of like an Age of Apocalypse version of X-Men characters. If we are diving into the multiverse, I do think that there is a world out there that we could just be thrusted into, a world that's already taken over by Apocalypse, and we got to deal with the Age of Apocalypse and the Onslaught kind of storyline or mentality. I don't know, but those are three iterations of the X-Men that I wouldn't mind seeing Kevin Feige kind of take a stab at to do something different than the Fox universe that we're used to. You know what I mean? And there have been rumors also that from Joe Deckelmeyer from the Illuminati and that hashtag show, that Wolverine is set to even make an appearance in the Doctor Strange movie, but not as Hugh Jackman, making it kind of hinted at the idea that this might be our first time getting an opportunity to see the brand new Wolverine that we're going to be having in the MCU. So Joe Deckelmeyer just kind of threw that out there over on Twitter. Whether or not you want to take that just as a grain of salt, just as a rumor, or just based off of the track record that the Illuminati is acquiring for themselves and being rather reliable, do you trust Joe's word in regards to the Wolverine being in this movie? I think there's a potential. And considering the fact that when it comes to Wolverine, we've already seen him as a character that has done some time traveling in his life, especially not only movie-wise, but in the comic books too, having connections to maybe past timelines. if you will, based off of what Jonathan Hickman has created in his current X-Men run. There's a lot of big potential for Wolverine to kind of be, maybe even Wolverine and Xavier to be that anchoring piece between what happened in the Fox universe and the brand new X-Men stuff we're going to be getting in the MCU. Really exciting time to be an X-Men fan, honestly. Let's see here. And last sets of questions from good old Jericho Gonzalez. What's up, Jericho? Thank you very much for certainly coming through. If social media and the internet did not exist, a TV show and what TV show and movie do you think would be a lot better experience if you weren't ruined by spoilers or negativity? So if social media and the internet did not exist, what TV show and movie do you think would be a lot better experience if you weren't ruined by spoilers or negativity? Wrestling would be more fun, that's for sure. To say TV shows, wrestling would be a lot more fun. I would even say No Way Home to a certain extent. While it was already a great experience, fuck, No Way Home would just, I would probably piss and shit my pants all at once. If I had no social media, no internet, and I sat down to watch Spider-Man No Way Home, and you were to tell me Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire come through a freaking portal to team up with Tom Holland, and I didn't know about it potentially even happening, fuck yeah, No Way Home would have been bananas. So yeah, those are just two current iterations of something that I could possibly think of off the top of my head. And honestly, probably Solo, a Star Wars movie. While I appreciate Solo, I think the idea of a lot of negativity that came behind the idea of even making a Han Solo film, and then just the drama that ensued about Lord and Miller and their direction for the movie, and then Disney coming in and removing them, and then having to add Ron Howard sort of last minute sort of thing. Like, there was just so much negativity and information coming out about the filming of Solo that I think it really just hampered expectations in regards to the movie itself. So I kind of went into it really lukewarm about it already. And it's something that I have come to appreciate and enjoy, and more that I see it after the fact. But I feel like maybe even Solo probably would have hit and felt a little bit differently, and maybe been appreciated a little bit more without social media and the internet. I think a lot of things, it's just in general, would be much better without the internet and social media in regards to just pure enjoyment and pure surprises to a lot of stuff that we have out there. So yeah, those are just some examples. I'm sure you guys could probably find some other things too, if there are anything out there that you guys possibly would have enjoyed a little bit more without the internet or social media. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts. Natilla says, I think Hollywood needs to get new ideas and stop rebooting series. I mean, listen, I do think that they do also, but here's the trickery part, I think, Natilla. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up. Let me just do this real quick. Let's have an experiment here, okay? Because a lot of people say Hollywood doesn't do anything original anymore, right? So, or it doesn't have any fresh ideas. So right now, when it comes to the box office, what is out right now that is original, or maybe has been sort of adapted or rebooted, okay? So right now we've got the Batman. That's based off of a big franchise sort of thing. It's got some inspiration in regards to comic book material that it warrants itself. So not really original, right? Uncharted, not really original. It's an adaptation from a video game. There's a Channing Tatum movie out there, Dog. I think Dog might be an original movie. I don't know. A Death on the Nile. I believe that's off of a book, so that's another adaptation. Jackass Forever, that's original. Marry Me, the Jennifer Lopez, Owen Wilson, that's original. Moonfall, that's original. Studio 666, that's original, I believe. Liam Neeson, Blacklight, that's original, I believe. That's 6. Sing 2, That's a sequel, but that's all based off an original concept. That's Seven, Kyrano with Peter Di- Dinklage. I don't know who that is, but that sounds original. Eight movies, maybe. Scream is out there. That's based off of another property. So four. Licorice Pizza. That sounds based off of something original. Trust me when I say there is. That's like 10 original movies to like the 4 or 5 that we've seen that are based off of adaptions or video games or a comic book story or whatever the case may be. So there are rather original and new ideas from Hollywood that are out there. I think the problem is people just aren't going to see them as much. The problem is that people are going out to see these rebooted series and these revivals. And so Hollywood and television think to themselves, people keep eating this shit up. So you know what? We're just going to continue to give them more and more and more of this stuff. And people eat it up. So I think there is, and I think that's also another reason why there is maybe some pushback from filmmakers these days, in the sense of our films aren't being recognized, or people aren't coming out and watching them hardly anymore, in a sense, because you do have these reboots and these revivals and these comic book movies that are just taking over everything these days. That's the reason why they keep pushing them forward. But I really do think Hollywood has gotten plenty of new ideas and fresh original films out there, but it's just that people, one, aren't going to see them as much anymore, and we just live in the world where everything else is kind of overshadowing the newness and the originality that's out there, that we forget that if we just open up maybe our own AMC or a movie theater's show list, I think we can find a lot of original content for us to thoroughly enjoy. But it's just whether or not people are going to go to the movie theaters to see them. The trajectory has fully been changed when it comes to movies. That's why I have a hard time believing people when they say, oh, Hollywood needs to stop with the reboots and the revivals and do something new and original, because I'm like, it's already there. It's there. It's just a matter of what people truly want to focus on. So I guess part of me will always kind of push back about that idea of Hollywood not doing anything new, because I see it. It's there. It's just whether or not people are going to see it in droves like they used to, and they just don't anymore. Marcelino says, people say that John Kent should use his powers to stop pollution instead of protesting. They say it makes superheroes look bad. I mean, I get it. And trust me when I say, I'm sure somebody like, say, a Captain Atom in the DC universe could probably just go into the atmosphere, suck up all the pollution, and like toss it out into space. Like, I'm pretty sure it's just like an easy fix, right? So I definitely get where you're coming from, Marcelino. It is hard to imagine in a world of superheroes, pollution even being a situation. But I do think, sometimes you do want your content to be able to represent real life from time to time. So the idea of sometimes those tend to be the more impactful stories. And I maybe that's one of the reasons why they're using John Kent in that way more than any other way. But I haven't read the series myself, so I personally can't give a full judgment on it personally. Datilla does say, I want to hear Chris Hemsworth say, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. Doing his best Hulk Hogan impersonation. Yeah, man, Chris Hemsworth got jacked for Hulk Hogan. I'm pretty sure his muscles are bigger than my head. So yeah. Datilla says, I definitely agree, Adam. The internet ruined wrestling. I definitely agree also, man. There are aspects the aspects that I love knowing about behind the scenes stuff when it comes to wrestling, but there is that idea of surprise and intrigue that knowing so much really ruins, and that's one of the reasons why I've tried to stay off the dirt sheets like I used to. Try not to find out what the plans are for some of these pushes and stuff. I like to be surprised by pushes and people getting opportunities and spotlights. And the internet has just created such a cultist mentality when it comes to not just wrestling, but a lot of things in life. People just planting their flags on one side of an argument and just unfortunately not willing to budge and compromise or have debates and stuff. Social media and the internet, I think, has just really ruined, unfortunately, a lot of things. And that goes for wrestling and movies and television stuff. But as a guy myself that has always loved movies, I think for movies, at least for me, I love knowing the behind the scenes stuff, because I feel like movies still can surprise me. I feel like no matter what I search for when it comes to movies and films, some of the details of who's being cast, who's being brought in as director and writer, that type of stuff I really love to know about. Plot synopsises, potential details, that's kind of cool to know, because I think people at least do keep some level of surprise to themselves, right? There is a level of, oh, I really don't want to ruin this for you, so I'm not going to answer these questions. So the way that Kevin Feige and these actors have handled what social media and the internet has tended to ruin at times, when it comes to movies, at least, there is still that element. So it hasn't fully ruined movies for me as of yet, but there are definitely some things that it certainly has. But so yeah, we'll see, man. But those will do it for all of our live viewer questions for the day, guys. So thank you very much, everybody, for definitely joining me. I think if anything, I could probably turn down this music now as we go ahead and wrap up for the day. So thank you very much, guys, for your continued support. Always great to see each and every one of you here joining us Sunday afternoons, and we certainly will be back next weekend for you guys also. Remember, join us every Sunday live at noon Central Time. Hopefully, we'll definitely have more of the crew here. Hopefully we can get Stuart and Indy to definitely go ahead and join us next week, and definitely have a ton of topics in store for you guys. Some things for you guys, just so you know, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you love our content and certainly want more, hit that like button. It definitely does go a long way. If you would like to join our community outside of subscribing to YouTube, you can certainly also go ahead and join us in our Discord forum community. There is a link in the description box below. If you've ever been a part of a forum community, we've got a plethora of topics to certainly to discuss, not just Marvel and DC and television and movies, but also sports, also anything Power Ranger related, anything you guys can certainly think of. There's a topic on the Discord to certainly go ahead and join us if you want to communicate with us outside of our YouTube channel and continue to help us build our community. If you want to go ahead and follow us on social media, you can do so right here up at the top at APlus Opinions. Very active over on Twitter as well as Instagram, and our main hub, which you can find us at, our Facebook page, guys. That's where we post all of the news for you guys throughout the entirety of the week. We keep you updated so you know what's going on in the world of nerd pop culture. We'll keep it updated with news articles, memes, trailers, posters, anything you could think of, guys. And at the end of the week, we pull our stories from our Facebook page to keep up with you guys and let you know what's going on in our world. But other than that, guys, that's going to go ahead and do it for us. So if you want to follow us on social media, please do so. And I guess, if anything, until next time, we'll see you guys next week. So thank you guys for your continued support. But until then, do me a big favor, as always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.